Welcome back, one and all, to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. I'm Mazel, I'm joined by K-Man. We've got Bread behind the scenes clicking the buttons, and we have a very somber night tonight. Two would-be hopefuls in this Split 3 playoffs and the grand finals, the race for the Silver Dragon Cup, and only one of them can step forward. It is IG versus anyone's legend in the lower bracket.
Oh, Mazel, we've got a really good one on our hands here today. I don't think you could ask for more stakes. I mean, these are two teams that built their entire rosters around winning the LPL, about being the best team domestically. Only one of them is going to be able to survive and get into that top four, and it's all on the line for both of them here today.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm gonna be a little bit of a sad camper at the end of the day. I really had these two teams going deep into the playoffs. I didn't think they would meet like this, but hey, history has its fate. As we take a look at the bracket itself and how we got to this point, obviously only a few matches left here, only 5 best of 5s left in the playoffs here of split number 3 of the grand finals. Obviously we still have the regional qualifiers, but all is eyes on the Silver Dragon Cup, and here we are in the lower bracket, IG versus anyone's legend. Winner goes on to face JDG.
I mean, we've been talking throughout the entire playoffs about how, oh, you know, it's early, there's room for error. The margin of error is gone, not only for these teams, but for everybody in the LPL. It is do or die at this point for everyone with the limited amount of games left. If you want to make that statement, if you want to earn an automatic place at Worlds without having to go through that regional qualifier, it's got to start here today.
It definitely does. As we take a look at IG, a team that at the beginning of the year put high expectations on themselves, but they haven't met those expectations just yet. They have not found a win in terms of a championship just yet this year, and here their run needs to continue. A team full of legends, Way coming in and being a big fire starter for the squad, but this playoff run, it's been a bit rocky here or there, but we started seeing the IG that we were promised in some sorts here, K-Man.
We definitely saw that version in the regular season. When you're talking about the best of 3s and how consistent they were, that was really the most encouraging sight, I think, for me, is just how, you know, immediate it was for them to pick up some wins and then snowball that. Unfortunately, they had to run into a buzzsaw in BLG in the upper bracket to get knocked down here, but I still believe in this team quite a lot. I think their macro and their mechanics can carry them through.
I believe in them as well, and as fate would have it, we would take a look back at their history, because time is a circle, if you don't know that, my friends, and at some point it's got to come back round again, and it has been a while for some of the greats on this team. Obviously, Way just won with PLG not that long ago, but when you look at the rest, right, Gala, a while since he'd been at that top. For Rookie and the Shy, I mean, yes, that year is incredible for them, and you could look back fondly in that, but it's been a long time. And yes, the Shy took time off, but Rookie's been grinded this entire time. I have been so enthused with Rookie's race back to a championship, back to Worlds, all that conversation, but it's been a long time since we've seen these guys at the top.
That is certainly an understatement. The long time is definitely how it
6
feels, and I'm sure it feels even longer for Rookie. Like, you're sitting there and you're wondering, what do I need to do? It's been different teams, it's been different orgs, it's been so many iterations that, you know, at this point, you know, this is the roster that was built to get Rookie and to get all these players back to the promised land. So far this year, we've seen what it looks like at its best. We've seen this team look at times like the best team in the entire league. It's all really about, can they step up in the big moments, something that, unfortunately, these players haven't had as much success on as of late.
But somebody that has been stepping up monumentally for the squad is somebody picking up the standard. Somebody picked up the general title on the squad. Mako has been incredible, right? The conversation has been, where did Mako go? Are we really seeing that big slump finally after all these years? And to see him kind of grab the horns here and take it by his own and find a lot of those big, you know, engaged moments, be that shot calling success for IG, it's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. He has been tremendous throughout split number 3, throughout all of the back end of this year, which is really, really reassuring because there were a lot of parts at the beginning of this year where you were worried, you were concerned. He's even coming off of one of the better years of his career last year on top esports.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be the strength of the team, and for a while it wasn't, but the bot lane has really stepped up, and Mako has been such a huge part of that. He really is the jack of all trades, master of all type of support that you want at a top level, and he's really been showcasing that to its absolute fullest this split.
Yeah, I think his combination with Gala has been really nice, not only the 2v2, but how often he gets involved early on with the team. I think the way he thinks about these fights, his entrances into them, is always so crucial to think about. And I know, when we're thinking about how these teams like to function earlier on in the game, it relies a lot on their supports, and specifically Mako, to kind of be that guy to lead the team forward with Wei. And so I'm really looking at that combination tonight, needing it to be on form if they're going to make up for that BLG performance.
Yeah, you have to play with synergy, because that's something we've seen really catch up to every team in the LPL, is that you can have some of the most talented players in the world, and they can even be looking for good angles. If everybody's not on the same page, it can be very detrimental. That is where I think, Wei has come in and really upgraded this team. It definitely feels like he is on, great form alongside Mako, and those two as a duo definitely makes for a dangerous proposition.
It does, and this one, I just gotta say, Mako, the expert tail wagger, as he, walked away from an entire team of PLG. It still comes down to the fact that he is the guy kind of leading forward. So I really want to see that tonight for Mako. I think he's had a big resurgence here in split number 3. And, when it comes down to the end of it, when it's one best of that determines if you have to look forward to the regional qualifier, if you get to continue your run for the Silver Dragon Cup, I think Mako is somebody I would love to rely on.
I don't know if there's a support in the history of the LPL that you'd rather rely on than Mako. This guy has done it over and over again. It's all really about, the rest of this roster. Can they elevate alongside Mako? Because at least from what I've seen across this split, I have the utmost confidence in that support to be able to live up to the billing here today.
Yeah, they would indeed. As I do wonder, though, if it's going to be enough. I guess in a lot of questions, a lot of regards, because this team on the other side, they are not a team to scoff at. They are a team that is looking for a back-to-back championship. It is anyone's legend. A dominant team all year long, has been constantly in the conversation of top 2, and now they find themselves, after a very big slip and fall in the first round, making a lower bracket run in split 3.
This is the worst that AL has looked all year, and that includes in the preseason. This team goes on to win Demacia Cup. They go to make the finals in Split 1. They win Split 2. They're top 3, taking both Gen G and T1 to 5 games at MSI. There has really not been a low point in the year for AL except for right now, and that's what makes this team so scary to look at. If they're able to bounce back, you're not looking at your traditional number 4 seed, but if they're not, then everything that they built towards throughout the entire year really kind of feels like it's crashing down.
And that is not somewhere you want to be. I know we've talked so much about their drafting style, all the things along those lines for them, but we also got to talk about the organization as a whole, because not that long ago, this was an organization named Rogue Warriors, but since then, it wasn't all beautiful. It wasn't all pretty. It wasn't walking down the yellow brick road there for them at the Wizard of Oz setup. It really was a tumultuous start to this organization's history, and it is only as of late this year that has been that come up for them, right? Bringing in Tarzan and Flandra made the difference. And shout out to Izzy, our goated graphics creator, because what once were pandas are now champions, and they're trying to make a run for back-to-back, just like BLG did last year.
Yeah, Izzy's always cooking with these graphics. They're always phenomenal, but as a self-proclaimed AL believer for many years now, I've been very vocal on social media about always hyping up this team, and they've never been able to live up to it. It feels like every year they've tried to build a roster that can compete, and this is finally the year where it works. They finally got the right talent. If it ends up getting blown in the 9th inning right as we get towards the end of the year, that's going to feel so bad for this org and for this team that's really put so much of their entire history on this year's roster.
Well, we were talking about supportal powerhouses earlier with IG. There is none other than the support powerhouse in Kyle this year for anyone's legend. This guy has been a machine. I love it ever since last year, right? He's been changing up the meta. He's been bringing in different styles of picks to the supportive role, but he has been, I feel like, heads and above the best support all year long if you look at the body of work that we've seen from this guy.
That's what makes this matchup so fun, Mazel, is you're looking at the best support so far throughout 2025 in Kyle, who has really elevated what AL's floor looks like. The consistency that he plays with throughout a lot of these games is massive, but you could argue Mako has been better than him this split, or at least in the past month or so. If Kyle is able to step up here today and be a primary engaged threat, link up with Tarzan, be able to get Hope ahead, if you're looking like, you know, the AL that you looked like in Split 2, that's a really big problem for IG that I don't know if they're capable of answering, and it's all really going to come down to, you know, which version of this AL bot lane we get.
And it's sometimes about that 2v2 in bot lane for Kyle, but a majority of the time it's how he links up with Tarzan, how he enables Tarzan's play styles, but it's also a lot of that general conversation with him about the engage potential, the seeing angles in a lot of these fights, and I think giving him, you know, not only his niche picks that he loves to go with. I really want to see if we end up getting the blitz cranks and things along those lines tonight, or if we do stick with stock standard and just see how much of the team fighting aspect this guy can bring to the table for anyone's legend, because it has been so extremely crucial, not only in their championship from last split, but entirely this split. Through their tough times, Kyle still had been the guy kind of leading the way, with Tarzan at least.
Absolutely. I think when you look at the creation for a lot of the plays that they make, when this team does go aggressive, when they start playing on the offensive, it's always Kyle that's leading the charge, and if he can do that today, they're going to be in good shape.
Well, we talked a little bit about setups for these teams, and I think a lot of that undercurrent does come through this mid lane matchup itself. Not only do we have Legacy on top of it all, but we also have Shanks, burgeoning mid laner for the LPL, looking to have his second title in a row, but he has to go through the bodyguard of Rookie for IG, a guy that has been here, done that, and is looking to get back to a championship for the first time since 2019. That's a long time to wait, and he is hungry. While we've seen some slumps from him in the playoffs, Shanks, on the other hand, has found some really solid games for anyone's legend.
Yeah, I mean, their playoff form has not been, you know, comparable, quite frankly, in terms of how these two have played. Shanks, while he's had some bad games, I'm certainly not going to count out some of the stinkers that he's had over the course of the playoff run. The good games are really good, and he's really been able to elevate the team. Rookie struggled a bit more, especially in that previous series against BLG. He is very much looking for a bounce-back performance here today, and if he's going to be able to outplay Shanks like a lot of our all-pro voters and, you know, general LPL viewers tend to think he did in the regular season, that's going to be a huge push towards IG getting over the hump here today.
And talk about momentum for these two guys as well. I mean, coming off different matchups in their own right? And especially for AL, maybe a little bit easier in that regard. Coming off a win in the momentum category, but also Shanks kind of taking down Doinby there, but as well as Rookie, gotta say, got a little bit handled by the golden left hand there. So we'll see if he can bounce back in the lower bracket here as they do start that run. But as we take a look, predictions, I was shocked, I tell you, shocked to see not a single person, not one, not a little mouse, nobody, not even on Christmas, voted for anyone's legend in this do or die matchup for the squad.
Let me remind you.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah, these are the defending champions. This is a team that, like I said, went to MSI, did well internationally, really dominated the entire year up until this point. No faith in this team, but what this leads me to believe is that IG has just cursed themselves. We have cursed Invictus Gaming. You can never believe in a team too much in the LPL. We'll see if they can overcome the elite favoritism that tends to really sink teams at this level.
Yeah, I think this series, for me, it was always going to be a 3-2. I was very much on the fence of who was going to take the final game. I think both these teams are going to leave everything out on the Rift, and I'm really excited to see what they give us because both have such incredible stories moving forward. And I think that race for the Silver Dragon Cup shines everything through the run that we've seen from these teams. Not only is it important for kind of the grand scheme of things, this is the only run for the Silver Dragon Cup this year, right? We had different trophies for the other two, and historically this means a lot. And I think for IG, when I talked about it earlier, foreshadowing to a little bit, and the fact that this team who put the burden of success on their shoulders at the very beginning of the year going into Demacia Cup have not been champions as of yet in 2025. And if they want to be, then they need to start making this run. I mean, it's a lower bracket run for them starting now with one of the toughest opponents that maybe shouldn't even be here in anyone's legend.
And that's the thing. It's all really about, can they keep that form? In the regular season, there was no conversation. Invictus was the better of these two teams. I think that was clear. They were consistently winning. They were beating teams at the top of the standings. They've not been able to make that work in best of fives. The question becomes, if they start to get lower and lower on these champion pools, if you start to move a bit out of your comfort zone in terms of the style that you like to play around Wei and around Rookie in the middle of the map, can you respond? Because so far this year, the answer to that has kind of been no. But it's AL on the other side, who have also looked really, really inconsistent over the past couple of series. I think whoever ends up feeling more comfortable on stage here today, especially in like a pivotal game 3 or maybe a game 4, I think that's really going to determine everything.
As we get to the Wildcats, get to see two of the greats in top lane. Fist bump there, a little smile from the Shy. Feelings are up here. But I think, with all the pressure that comes into this one, we have to relay the fact that both these teams still do have the regional qualifiers to look forward to, but that's a completely different conversation that comes after the Silver Dragon Cup. And I think that's the biggest thing to highlight here going into this matchup is all eyes are on this playoff here, this run that can come through. And I think when we look at these two teams and the track record of them, AL getting their first championship just last split as an organization after bringing together this roster that maybe had some question marks ahead of it coming into the year itself, wondering how good it was going to be coming together, and then finding that promise across the board is going to be an interesting one if we see them bow out so early. They picked Weibo, by the way, and they lost to Weibo in round number 1 in a 5-game series, and I know that one's got a sting, and we've seen that a little bit in this lower bracket run from them.
Definitely tough, and even Weibo's now out of the playoffs as well, eliminated yesterday by JD Gaming, and so it just goes to show how difficult it is right now in the LPL. There are no easy games, there are no easy matchups, no easy series. Everybody left is really talented as a team, and that makes series like this so interesting. There's no favorite, there's no upset alert here today. It doesn't matter who ends up picking up the victory. That's going to be the expected outcome because both of these teams are expecting to get into the top 4, and one of them won't. It's guaranteed, and one of them's definitely going to be walking away.
Can we not just say like they could just we could just do like a swap-a-rooney? One team plays game 1 against JDG, the next team plays the second one against JDG, and we just let both teams through, and then it's fine. Like, I think that's fine. That's competitively integral.
10-man roster. That seems, totally fair. Send them to Worlds.
We don't have to play this best of 5, guys. Just go ahead and pack your stuff up. Let's go. Let's move out. You guys both move forward in the playoffs. I've decided. No, but like you said, it is only one of these teams. No matter how sad I am to bow out here, and I think we can start talking about the draft a little bit here between the two. I think primarily I want to see what big picks come through on blue side B1, but I do expect a little bit of onus on the jungle matchup. Even though we haven't talked too much about that, I think getting powerful jungle picks can really set both teams up for success.
I agree. I think there's a lot of comfort picks on the table that are kind of shared between these two players. I think both of them kind of want to play a similar role for their individual teams. So you're looking at things like Poppy or Trundle that might be higher priority than what you're expecting in a normal series, because both of these teams have really liked playing around those specific champions, especially if you are going to get one of those combo mids. If you want to play Annie, Orianna, these champions that want to enable junglers, things like, Wukong, Trundle, they end up rising in popularity by quite a lot, and I would expect that to continue in this series.
And that being said, we're getting close to this draft number 1 here. It is a best of 5. We do have the enabled, so we'll see what kind of picks we get for this game number 1. IG are going to be on the blue side. They're banning away Aurora and Poppy already, like you had mentioned. Anyone's Legend on that red side going to take away that B1 Rumble, as well as the Yunara.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I think are necessary takeaways. I will say Varus is one of those for me, even against Gala. Like, I really think, you have to take away that champion. It's still incredibly strong right now, but it's going to be Rookie's Azir that they want to pinch. So it's not even one of the supportive mids that he's felt more comfortable on throughout a lot of split number 3. It is going to be that carry-oriented Azir, one of his best champions of all time. But it's actually going to be Jarvan coming in as the first pick here for Wei. This has been a really popular pick for him recently. He's really started to gravitate towards it.
I was saying, hey, a little bit of prio picking in the earlier parts of this for the jungle and its first pick. So got to make use of it. Got to build a comp around it. I definitely want to see some extra wombo combo on top of this Cataclysm here. But AL need to find a rebuttal of their own, at least the first 2 picks for them. Looking at if they want to get something in the jungle for Tarzan as well. They do end up locking in the Kai'Sa for Hope.
You want to take away that secondary dive potential. Adding Kai'Sa for Gala obviously is not something you want to play into if you're AL. And I think specifically you can combo it off of a lot of different things. Annie ends up being the pick here, but Annie and Orianna, those are the 2 big picks for both of these mid laners. Orianna in particular has really been something that Shanks has found a ton of success on. Inversely, Annie has been something that Rookie has found a ton of success on over the course of this split. So if we do end up seeing that trade here, which I think is actually decently likely, that would make a lot of sense to me. But now I think investing into the bot lane, trying to take that Kai'Sa out of her comfort zone is also really important, while also comboing with the Jarvan. Something like an Alistar does make a lot of sense here.
We saw it in the clips that we showed of Mako earlier, but his Alistar is deadly and terrifying. He will lock that one in, so the wombo combo is definitely going to be there. I know it's been a pivotal pick for a lot of supports in the LPL, but here provides that double lockdown that IG are looking for.
Yeah, and this opens up the door for even more options. If you don't want to go for that teamfight threat in Orianna, you can go for something like a Taliyah. Sivir combos really well with the Alistar, and it is going to get locked in here. People really like this Sivir early on in these Fearless best of 5s. They really like the options that it gives you to be able to play either safe or aggressive. You can play for late game, but you also shove in really heavily. It's just kind of a very easy pick to fit into a lot of comps, but talk about a very specialized pick. It's going to be the Qiyana locked in for Tarzan. You got to love this. Qiyana's risen in popularity so much, and Tarzan has been a player that has made the most of it, I think we can say.
I appreciate that our junglers have decided that they want to be a little bit more carry oriented. All right, they've said we want the resources. We have Zeds, we have the Qiyana's, we even have Nocturnes coming through, things like that. I would love this era of the LPL jungle itself, but is requiring that bar of execution. So we'll see if he can do that as we get into the second phase of bans. It is the Galio ban towards IG, so taking away more of that team fight special potential, as well as the Nico ban by IG against AL.
Yeah, really at this point, I think for IG, you want to ban out more setup. I think the amount of options they have to get this Qiyana Kai'Sa duo online is already scary, even with just the Annie, because you're going to have, plenty of other chances with other supports to potentially get in the game there. But you want to force, I think, Kyle into maybe even like a tank engage support rather than a Nico or maybe a Rakan here that I'd like to see banned out that just have such consistent ways to be able to play make throughout the entire map. Inversely, on the other side, the Orianna ban, I would have expected Rookie to actually take this early. This is huge for AL, not only because it takes it away from the Orianna Jarvan combo, but keeps it open for Shanks for later on in the series. Again, something he's found a ton of success on. Renekton will be that final ban instead, though.
And we'll see if we get the top lane orientation of tanks here, as the Scion is going to be unleashed by Flandra. And that's a big wall to come up against in this team fight special here. But I know something that Cubby was very passionate about. We were talking about this series as a whole, is how the Shy has taken a little bit of that tank role from Flandra in his run with IG so far this year, and see if he wants to opt into something to counter that Scion in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's really funny. The Shy has some of the lowest KP of any top laner in the league and some of the highest DPM of any top laner in the league. He's not fighting often, but when he is destroying games. He is absolutely taking over fights, and so we'll see if they can take away that option. Flandra really has been a huge tank player. The Scion and the Ornn have really been key picks, but it is actually going to be the Taliyah. I felt like this is what IG maybe wanted to go for all along. Just one of these macro options. Galio off the board. Ryze not necessarily good with the rest of this draft. Taliyah definitely makes the most sense. The question now is, what's your tank buster? What's the Shy carry pick on the top side? And it will be the Cassante, something that, hey, technically it's a tank. By sheer technicality, it does fall into that bucket.
You're right. You're right about that. Technically, it is correct. But really what I love to see is Rookie on this Taliyah. Not only is it a huge space provider, I love giving this guy any way of kind of creating or blocking space in team fights, because the way that he thinks about fights. So giving him a lot of success in that regard, and also giving him, the Taliyah for the first time in the playoffs here. It is the final pick coming through as the Leona. So the long distance engage for Kyle, an integral part to AL's strategy.
I think these two comps are very, very close, Mazel. I think they both spike at really similar times. The mid game's going to be really essential. You're looking at Talia Jarvan versus Annie Kiana. If one of those two mid jungle duos can get ahead, that could just be the game then and there. But both of these teams have more than enough tools to make it work. Maybe you slightly favor AL's consistent engage, mostly because of that Leona, but certainly not like, you know, Jarvan Alistar is going to have a ton of trouble there. Side lanes can be really key for IG, but I think both teams have given themselves the recipe for success here.
I'm looking at the objective scuffles, and I couldn't be more excited for this game, number one. I think there's a little bit more breathing room in between those objectives for AL to find a lot more success, a lot of pick potential there as well. Like you were saying, a little bit of that with the IG side lanes, but I'm really looking forward to this kind of 3-item spike for IG to really come online.
Yeah, I mean, the scariest part is if you're staring down the barrel of, you know, Sivir and then Jarvan jumping on your backline, Cassante potentially being a massive issue. There could be very few answers, but again, Annie Kiana, you want to try to stop that in the mid game, that's up to you, and the Kai'Sa is there for bailout as well. Plenty of options for both teams. It's all going to come down to execution here.
It is indeed, and this is only the start of this best of 5, but is a do or die best of 5 between these two. IG wanting to prove that respect and honor can come back to Invictus Gaming by winning a championship, by making that run. But that journey to Silver Dragon Cup is blocked by AL, who are on a run of their own in the lower bracket. They are the champions of Split 2, and they want to make it back there for Split number 3. We get into the arena and into Game 1 for IG and AL.
We've already got a bit of skirmishing going down in the jungle between these two. You want to see that action. I want to see some early pace stuff. I don't want to see a slow series here from either of these two teams, and somehow, some way, I think that we are going to get that action even with these comps. Very excited to see what ends up happening. It looks like junglers are going to be same side starting, but a huge ward actually placed down onto blue buff by AL that will be able to spot out quite a bit. Wei will very much be on vision here, so definitely a small advantage, but one that's certainly not insurmountable.
It's definitely not. Let's see. God, there's so much vision gameplay going on around here, though, as it will be the phase rush counters in the mid lane, by the way. It'd be nice to see how they utilize that, but my God, it's a little bit one-sided in the votes here early between these two, and I think rightfully so. There's a lot of fandom on the side of IG for the names on it, but not only that, but what they were able to do in this Split 3 to get to this point.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think you could realistically look at this team even in the, you know, early stages as kind of a reunion tour, you know, maybe a team that was past its prime. That's not how they've played at all throughout this year. They've been more than competitive. Remember, this is a team that finished 3rd in Split 2. People tend to forget that because, oh, they weren't finished. Kyle gonna get pushed in to take a tower shot.
Oh my God, the Void Seeker damage instantly procs the heal from Mako. A lot of damage back and forth, and how spicy this 2v2 lane can get.
Yeah, I did not expect that damage coming out of Hope. That was really impressive, and it just goes to show that for all the people who say Kai'Sa is a weak early game champion, I think you mean Kai'Sa has low range and could struggle in some matchups. I'm not quite sure weak would be the word I would use, but definitely nice for AL to get the push down here bot.
All right, Mako looks like he wanted to try to potentially get a back off, maybe go for that quick reset there. But I got to say, both junglers pathing down bot lane as they will be coming to the culmination of their clears here very quickly. Do we expect any skirmishing between the two over this Scuttle Crab?
I certainly think it's possible. I'm not quite sure I would want to risk the game on a Scuttle Crab skirmish. I think things are definitely at least a little bit in favor of IG here because of the sheer amount of push that they have. The timing on the back coming in here from Hope kind of signals that they're willing to give this over. But with Wei getting spotted out on the ward, perhaps Hope coming back down could be looking to contest.
They might try to go for a cheeky gank if Rookie tries to collapse here to try to help his jungler. Tarzan's waiting in the wings. Does have the freeze available here. He's going to see Wei. This is a little bit of a setup here. Oh no, Gala overextends, doesn't get his spell shield pop. Now the Void Seeker's coming down on Mako. Mako doesn't really have a health bar. Tarzan made the roundabout gank from around the world. He comes for your head as he's going for the kill to Mako. That's going to be 2 quick kills to anyone's legend to start off this best of.
It's a brilliant play by Tarzan. They have no idea that he's made this gigantic flank on the other side of the map. Wei is just taking Scuttle Crab that entire time. He doesn't feel like he needs to help his bot lane because he thinks he can get there after he takes the crab. No siree. Tarzan capitalizing, getting that first blood. And I said it, Mazel, if one of these junglers gets ahead, it can be quite dangerous. Well, here you go. Kiana's got gold and look at top lane.
Oh my god, and he's got the freeze here too. The Shy's going to have to try to buffer it. Oh, or Tarzan just misses it. That works too, as the Shy will be just fine. And yeah, we saw in there that Tarzan is just being a menace across the map already. And I think these early games are going to be pretty spicy across this best of, as Gala just overextended a little bit on the transition, but you see, nobody expected the gank.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks this is an overextension. I think he's like, this is a 3v2. There's no Tarzan in sight. We can win this with our jungle. And Tarzan shows up out of nowhere. It's very easy to pick up the double kill there. You know, and the kills go in the perfect spot. Not only do you get one on Kiana, you get first blood on the Kai'Sa as well. The Shy gets pushed in here on the top side. Certainly couldn't ask for a better start if you're AL.
I also love it because he gave himself options. I think that's what I love about Tarzan, is he always gives himself multiple avenues in a lot of the play calling he makes, as the Shy is getting extremely low on top side. He is getting close to that level 6 though. But he like waited in that mid lane just in case Rookie wanted to collapse over. He knew he didn't have a lot of health there, so he could make that play, and now finds the bot lane play. So because of that, IG are going to try to recoup some of their losses. They're going to readapt their bot lane to top lane. And we'll end up seeing IG try to get prepped up for these grubs, potentially.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is an early Cloud Drake, which means slightly less priority for IG's comp in particular, although it still is definitely valuable. But right now, Tarzan has full control because of the kill onto Hope right now in the bot lane. We'll just be getting poked out a bit by Wei, but Dragon has been started up, and I imagine it will get taken here.
So I was looking at some stats here, as... just want to let you know, this is the 4th competitive game for Tarzan on Kiana. He has a 100% win rate. So, you know, small sample size, but results-based analysis says Tarzan's looking pretty damn good on the Kiana. He started with the Brutalizer as well. So he's going to have that and the early Dragon here. But now is the question of, can they actually contest for the grubs on the other side? That's a permanent buff that IG have already preemptively set up for.
Yeah, IG definitely in a spot to at least prioritize this early. We'll see if they have the tempo to be able to hold that position. Teleport is going to come down from Kyle onto the top side, hopefully making his way up here eventually. With that extra damage coming in here, it should be enough for AL to get control of this lane once more. But Tarzan's going to have to invest some resources. I don't think you want to give away these grubs for free against a team that has Talia, Cassante. That side lane could be very dangerous.
Yeah, this is still a situation that we want to see anyone's legend ahead of the ball here. As if they are not ahead, then things get a little bit more tricky once we get further on in the game and some of that scaling starts coming online for IG. But about a minute until those grubs do spawn, we will get the redeploys from both mid lanes. We will get everybody in the top lane as well. Unfortunately, no TPs available for the top laners in the bot lane, so it will just be a 4-on-4 if they want the fight.
And the 4-on-4, I think, right now definitely favors AL with all of the gold in the pocket of the Kiana in particular. She should be in a pretty strong position to fight this out. But look at the vision, at least for now, not entirely set up around the area. It should be much easier for Tarzan to walk in there and get it, but they do actually have to set it up in order to feel as comfortable. Less than 30 seconds now on the spawn of that. Especially you're looking mid lane now with Shanks having a little bit of lane priority. If he can get that push in, it's huge.
And these level 6s is going to be extremely big on the unlocking factor. As we see the level 6s coming out on bot lane. Flandra making it out with his unstoppable onslaught, but the Shy has used his all out, but more so in the 4-on-4. That's where I was talking about, because we do have junglers, level 6s. That is going to be extremely impactful. Tarzan has the go button. Wei also has his go button. These two setting up shop ahead of the grubs.
Yeah, Tarzan in there alone right now.
Oh
but
my
stuck.
God. That's the beauty of the Kai'Sa. You're never alone, and Tarzan has his hope in his pocket as he gets the grubs. Easy peasy for anyone's legend.
It's just effortless for AL right now. They're utilizing the pressure that they've generated perfectly. There's no way to engage this. IG sticking around. No jungle in the area makes this an impossible contest. Are they going to try, or is this all just posturing?
I mean, they look like they want to try, but he's been saving the smite, so Mako is just here, tries to get it. In the end, it's just going to be a little bit of pressure onto AL, and full map dominance so far by anyone's legend. dragon control, grub control, and almost already at the feet.
This is an early game jungle masterclass so far from Tarzan, exactly how to pressure your lead. You're talking about two teams that really want to play through tempo and these objective skirmishes. If you can start getting ahead quickly in this game, it can snowball incredibly out of control, and Tarzan has absolutely done that, getting a lead not only for himself, but for his late game hyper carry bot lane. Hope is down almost, 25 CS and is even in gold here.
That's absolutely terrifying in a lot of ways. But, if you want to learn how to use these snowballs to your effect and find a little bit of promise in your games, go to prodiff.gg. You could get one-on-one coaching from them to improve your game and really learn how to utilize some of these snowballs and be just like Tarzan. Use LPL 10 to save 10% off prodiff and go get some one-on-one coaching from former and current LTA North, NACL, and ERL players.
Yeah, we'll see if IG needs some pro-diffing after this one. As they have started off quite slow. Luckily for them, they have the tools to get themselves back into the game. They're not entirely behind. Like we said before, Gala doing a good job to at least keep up in terms of the gold going over to Hope. The Shy generating at least a small lead for himself with that Cassante on the top side as well. This is still a comp that has a lot of danger going into the later part of the game. AL needs to keep their pedal to the metal in this one to make sure they have full control. I'm looking at Dragon in under a minute. Definitely going to be something I imagine both teams want to prioritize.
Yeah, I definitely think so. A little bit of that stacking for anyone's legend, but a little bit of a halting of that potentially can be the recipe for IG. Still been a little bit of a stark contrast to what we've seen in the past of these two teams. The early game definitely getting out ahead for anyone's legend, but as we take a look, the first items are starting to come through here as well. So we get the unstoppable onslaught. Train express ride from Flandre to get back up towards topside and say hello to his dearest, the Shy. But besides that, nothing else going to come of it on the top side, although the Shy wants a little bit more of it here. Flandre probably took a little bit more damage than he wanted to in this moment. He does have the Q3 back. The all-out could be used, but the Shy just going to give him a little warm welcome off of his train ride. And I'm just going to say, K-Man, if we ever meet at a train depot, please don't say hi to me like that. I don't want that.
Yeah, maybe I'll go about maybe a different method. Here we go.
Oh, my God. Maybe we say hi like this. IG have been engaged on. Tarzan going to use the Supreme Display. Tap with the three-man. Timbers knock in there as that's huge from Shanks. The pivotal piece to the puzzle here in game number 1. He finds the three-man into a double kill for Tarzan, and AL can do no wrong.
Everything going right for AL. It's a play that looks like it's going to, at the very least, be playable for IG. Shanks turns that in an instant with a massive, massive stun coming down. Timbers is still a huge ultimate for these teams, and quite frankly, AL is just executing better. We talked about both of these comps having the tools. Well, AL are utilizing those tools to take over the game right now, and IG just don't seem to have a response. We're going to get it in the replay here. They want to play aggressive. They see Kyle and Tarzan with Hope here, but unfortunately, the damage is just a little bit too much. Gala can't spell shield in time for the Kiana ultimate, and at this point, once the spell shield is burned, Shanks can flash in, destroy that AD carry. The jungle goes down. Kyle living is just insult to injury throughout this entire fight as well. Yeah.
On top of all that, I'm just going to shout it. I know it doesn't matter that much in most things. The Profane Hydra completion actually did so much in that fight with the AoE, the setup that he had there. I mean, that was an incredible fight take by AL to capitalize on the item spikes that they did have.
And that's what you get for winning early. That's the kind of advantage you can have, is all of a sudden things start to click a little bit more in these fights. And it's not done yet, man. Tarzan's up 2k gold by himself already in this game. Mazel, you said you wanted to see more assassins, more carry junglers. Well, I think this is the kind of game that influences people to play it a bit more.
They are here to stay. That's what we would have determined. All the top junglers are willing to go with these assassin junglers, and I'm so happy we are away from the Sejuani mines that we had, from all the supportive junglers that we had, and we're back to the promised land of true LPL fandom in assassin junglers. Watch out. Next up, Aki's coming back with his Zed at some point.
Aki's Zed looms over us all.
So it's a little bit of a throwback. But no, Tarzan is just so insanely ahead. I mean, he's at 2 items at 13.5 minutes, which they are cheaper items. But the fact that he has Profane Hydra and Axiom Arc already, This guy's pumping. And guess what? He's going to go to the tankiest member in the Shy, and he's still going to chunk him. Look at this damage he has on top of Tibbers. He's on the other side here. Got the Q3 knockback, but the stun is there, and Shanks picks up another one.
It's just free gold on the map at this point. Nobody is tanky enough for this Kiana, especially with an Annie there. The worrying thing is that you pointed it out, Mazel. There are 2 completed items here for Tarzan as we see Flandra ult into the mid lane. You're sitting on a book if you're Rookie on the other side of this, wondering where things are going. Alistair is yet to even complete an item in this game. It is truly starting to get dire for IG. They need to make something happen fast because this game is slowly, and not even slowly, very quickly getting out of control.
I listened to about half of what you said, and then a giant spider decided to walk up my wall. So, you know, I'm surrounded by scary things. I didn't kill it. It's still there. I'm just going to keep casting, and we're going to have fun. The spider is here.
To be elite support later.
Yes, exactly. The spider is here to enjoy LPL just like we are. But in all actuality, it's a 5,000 gold lead already for anyone's legend. This might be one of the biggest gold leads we've had all playoffs long this early into a game. And IG, they have lost a little bit of the spark. And yes, this is still a best of 5, but if we look back to that BLG series, it was a tough one to watch if you're an IG fan.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple days have not been good for this team. And, you know, I don't want to bring up some of the things that have happened earlier this year or perhaps even some painful memories for Rookie fans in particular, but you know, they can be really streaky. This team has already shown itself to really go within the flow of the game, go on big win streaks and big loss streaks. And you know that Rookie has kind of been susceptible to that throughout his career. Hopefully that is not the case here for IG, but AL picking up right where they left off in Game 4 against NIP, crashing this Rift Herald into the mid lane.
Tarzan's just playing with his food right now, man. He can just run around here behind enemy lines. Goes with the supreme display of talent, just throws it out there. As that will be a side lane turret secured with the bounty from Rookie. So Rookie's got his side laning in tow here, what we set up for him from the draft, and just trying to pick up as much gold as he possibly can away from this Anyone's Legend squad.
Yeah, you got to get gold somewhere on the map at this point because there's really just nowhere that you feel you have control over. Get the Leona ult here, but...
Dude, Flandra is just so big. He's massive. He's going to use the Unstoppable Onslaught to get out. Even though with all 3 members chunking him there, still doing pretty well on the health bar. So if we are just, bear with me. I'm the hopium guy. I'm always looking for an in to be positive. What do we have positivity-wise for IG right now? Because they are far behind, but we talked so much in the draft about their scaling comp, their 3-item spike.
Yeah, I think that is the hope right now, is that, you know, pun not intended, you eventually can get to a point here with Gala and the Shy where you should be able to fight in the late game. The problem is, I think AL scale really well in the front to back in that same way. A lot of it's going to be about how you can control those side lanes, but Dragon has spawned and it could be huge to start taking away some of these stacking dragons from AL.
Yeah, I mean, if they can take away 1, that's 5 minutes bot. They already just got 2nd item for Gala. That's a big setup for him as well. The Navori Flicker Blades completed for him. His team fight potential just went through the roof as well. It's not the 3-item spike that you love, but it's at least something. And IG are going to force start this Dragon. Rookie goes for the pick off. Mako trying to be the front line, trying to take this Alistar to the promised land here, but it gets the 3-hit Solar Flare onto 3 of them at least from this setup of AL. The Weaver's Wall comes in, but it doesn't block enough time at least. At least Supreme Display of Talent coming through, and the backline access from Hope finds Mako. Mako's health bar just got taken from him, and unfortunately, Shanks just got taken off away into the far, far away lands from the Shy. He does end up going down anyways. Now Gala is under threat from Hope, who ends up coming up with a triple kill. They're trying to clean up the rest of IG now as well. There's a couple more. He might look for a Penta himself, but it's going to be a little bit delayed at this point as they can't find way, and Rookie are the 2 that are the ones that are alive for IG as AL still continue to find fights.
It absolutely could have been worse, though, for IG. I think that's absolutely the case. A pretty messy fight, all things considered. AL
oh, don't do this. Don't do
this. Dragon. Wei is still alive. He is the smite that's up. Tarzan down for 10 seconds. They're going to flip this. They will at least have that advantage, but Hope is very, very strong if he can get back here. Teleport coming in.
I do wonder if they're willing to take this. I mean, Flandra just gets chunked there. I think AL realized they just need to give this one away, and it will be IG who buy themselves 5 more minutes of Dragon stacking potential here with this Infernal Dragon take.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge get here for IG. I think really the only thing you can hope for is to delay this as much as possible. The full engage happens here at the very least on Flandre. They try to burn him down. Knight is popped, but the knockup coming in. Gala has to cleanse so early on in this fight. Even Redemption is already dropped. So many cooldowns, so many resources have been used. Tarzan is going to land the ultimate, but not really.
Yeah,
not getting a huge one in this
with
fight.
It.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too over-eager. Hope is able to get an ult off, but we're in picture-in-picture.
Oh, Mako dies even after he flashes over the wall. The Weaver's Wall came in to try to block a little bit. The Shy goes and exit strategies with Flandre, but unfortunately he's being surrounded. He will end up flashing over. The Supreme Display of Talent finally hits, but it's going to be the insta-flash out of there as they do end up getting away. As that's multiple Summoner spells burned. IG barely slinking out of that one with just 2 alive again.
Unfortunately for IG, the moment they come out of something that could be kind of positive for them, they end up getting dove under their tier 1 in the mid lane and just kind of lose all that pressure. If you were concerned that Tarzan was going to be the one stealing the spotlight, have no fear. Hope is taking over in this game on the Kai'Sa. We're going to get a replay of this, see how it started. The spell shield goes down early on the Kai'Sa W. Mako just doesn't have the health bar to survive at this point. And once Kael goes in, this Alistar is insta-deleted. No way he dies a lethal tempo. But Rookie trying to pull anything back on the backline. At this point, Hope is free firing. He's even, half health, and it doesn't really matter. He can play so aggro throughout this entire fight. He just ults in on top of like a Asante.
God, what a
That's how you know things are going pretty well.
What an absolute chat. Although IG have seemingly found Tarzan. Oh, he instantly dashes out of the Cataclysm. Still getting ran down. The Shy wants the angle, but Tarzan can just dash away again, and Tarzan goes to the rest of his team. Now Mako caught out again. He's going to have to try to get it. He doesn't have the Unbreakable Will until 3 seconds from now. He is going to have it up now. The Shy's going in. There is the Redemption as well used. Way looking for a backline as now IG are just trying to get out of this one, I think. Tarzan's still playing with his health bar right now, and Way is no longer playing with his as he has been sent back to the grave. IG lose out of their bot side yet again.
I'm not sure Flandre can take damage in this game on the Scion. I think he can just tank forever during these exchanges. It's just a rout at this point. The gold difference is massive. We are looking at a 9k gold lead for AL. Flandre, as I speak, has to flash over the wall. Takes a couple of tower shots for his measure, but again, not in too much danger. Otacon is spawned here on the bot side. We'll see if AL want to pressure this now or maybe wait 2 minutes for that Infernal Dragon to spawn. Either way, they're going to be in a good position. How did Gala get caught here? Oh, just kind of got Kiana'd. Perfectly fine. Perfectly reasonable and normal experience.
Yeah, this is your normal ride. If you have any complaints, questions, make sure to submit it to the suggestion box. Tarzan is on 3 items now, by the way. Again, the caveat is they're cheaper. I don't care, honestly. 22 minutes in, 3 items is going to be ridiculous no matter what you have. And the fact that he has Serpent's Fang now as well, deal with a lot of the shielding that's coming in. AL just going to look to put the nail in the coffin of game number 1 here as they take this out of Khan now and force IG over for a fight.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to start up the dance early here, but they are looking like they're just baiting them. See how much they want to invest. Hope is not quite here yet. He is such a big piece of this fight. Once he gets here, though, I imagine AL are going to feel very aggressive.
Yeah, he himself is almost 3 items as well, but won't be for this fight at least. Anacon's actually going to be doing some work here on AL. Their resistance is going to be shredded, and Hope just says, let's go for the fight. They try to get Rookie out. One more auto would do it, but the Redemption saves his life. The Decimating Smash not enough, but Tarzan comes in with a supreme display of talent. Doesn't get much but 1 kill off the back of it, but it is a landslide coming out from AL as they dust IG right under their turret. Look how many tanking shots Flandre is, as it's massive from AL in this game number 1. 19-2, 23 minutes in.
It is going from bad to worse to unplayable for IG very quickly here. Poor Gala on Sivir is just not in a spot where he can play the game. He's getting dove over and over again. Hope at this point feels comfortable enough to engage on his own with the ultimate, and that's just where we are at with AL. It's just a dominating performance, and like we said, this is kind of what we saw in game number 4 for them versus Ninjas in Pajamas of that previous series. They ended that with a stomp, and they are showcasing that here, even with Shanks getting caught by the seismic shove, the Redemption coming down to heal up Gala. It just doesn't matter. So much damage is coming in. Tarzan just insta deletes that Sivir, and at this point the front line is there. I thought Flandre was, tanky before. This guy's just sitting under tower,
4,
taking tower shot
5,
after tower shot.
6. Oh, I
think
was
he
gonna
took
keep
6
counting.
or 7. I think
Yeah,
that was the total
I
count.
kept going. I wanted to keep going, but they didn't allow it. Yeah, I mean, it is just a masterclass performance from AL in this game number 1 at least. There'll be another dragon going their way, as the one dragon IG had taken earlier did delay their stacking, but 10,000 gold lead plus nonetheless for anyone's legend. And for this team, after getting knocked down early, maybe in a shocking series against Weibo, a team that had maybe had AL's number in the past as well, it was shocking to see them in the lower bracket, but then they looked like a dominant team yet again against NIP in their last series, and we're wondering if some of this momentum really is feeding into this potential back-to-back run for these guys.
Yeah, that NIP series was definitely a bit crazy. They lost 3 of the 4 early games and still were able to make it work. I think Wei's going to be able to make this one
Bye-bye,
work.
Wei.
It's 4 levels down.
Insane, man. Insane. Jungle Masterclass, Jungle Diff, whatever you want to call it. Tarzan is preying on Wei here in game number 1. And this is a terrifying, stature. Oh my god! Oh no! 3-man Timbers into Tarzan, coming to clean up behind the lines, as Rookie and the Shy are the only ones left, and it's about to only be the Shy, as though it's nobody. That's a triple kill coming through for Hope. It's a dominating game number 1 from anyone's legend. Over 15,000 gold in the lead now as they barrel down the mid lane and make a mark on this best of 5.
A massacre in game number 1 sets up for a very interesting rest of the series. We all picked IG in the predictions. We could all be looking at some losers' predictions as the rest of IG goes down. They watch their Nexus
red
fall.
side. They've got red side game number 1, and they come away with the win nonetheless. This is not only a couple things, a scary precedence for IG in terms of losing on blue side, but not only that is Tarzan's feeling himself tonight, man. I don't know what you could do to calm this guy down, chill him out, but if he's going like this in a game 1 on Kiana, what is the limit of this guy in this best of 5? I mean, he looks like he's out for vengeance.
Something's clicked with Tarzan in the past couple of days where he's just been like, you know what? Maybe I will get us to another championship. Maybe I will just go ahead and turn that back on. That was the inconsistent part of the regular season. Not anymore. Tarzan has been playing like the Tarzan we remember, like the number 1 jungler in the LPL again. And if he does this for the rest of the series, I hate to say it, we might be saying goodnight pretty early on here.
Nah, it's 5 games, baby. We're going the distance. IG, not ones to go quietly into the night. I do expect this team to pick it back up. I'm sure they'll be back on blue side and a second attempt to take that win there as well. But we see how much this jungle prio has changed up the factors of this best of now. A lot of facilitation, a lot of standoffness from the side of IG, and trying to kind of wait and buy time to get to these 3 items, 4 items, really get to these team fights. But AL said, we're not doing that tonight. We're going early game. We are taking you to task with these objectives, and you have to be willing to match that. So I expect a little bit of a different approach from IG in game number 2 in terms of draft.
Definitely. I think they kind of just overthought the draft quite a bit. I think they had the tools to win this game for sure. The early, jungle mistake in the bot lane, the double kill that ends up going over to AL really makes this game hard to win, but I also think you're limiting your options quite a bit with this draft. Things like Talia and Sivir, I think, are very flexible and very good, but you want to kind of pair them with things that you want to set up for. Sivir doesn't necessarily want to be that number 1 option. Talia obviously not, necessarily wants to be that as well. And when you have something like a Jarvan in the jungle, maybe you do need that killer instinct coming from somewhere. You had it with the Kai'Sa and the Kiana on the other side. I would expect a more aggressive draft from Invictus in game 2.
Yeah, I definitely can, but my god, that was an avalanche of a game. I think Tarzan started off 4-0 and didn't look back. He had influenced every single lane after that roundabout game. Maybe the game-winning gank in that level 2, level 3 mark. I guess it was level 3 in the end. But just, again, going back to the way that Tarzan has played, the way that he is manipulated the jungle in favor of AL so many times before. Why they got a championship last split was a lot off the back of Tarzan leading the way, and he's doing so again. And 16,000 gold down to finish the game for IG in game number 1.
16,000 gold down. You know, I never like pointing out terrible statistics, but Kyle out damaging Wei in that game is never ideal tough. When your Leona is out damaging your jungler. That's a tough place to be, but that game was, I agree, over from that level 3 on the bot side. I think the moment you get kills onto Kiana,
we don't even get to see it.
So hard. Yeah, we're skipping it over.
LPL, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, it's sad we don't get to see it. Oh well, I guess. But the snowball had already started from this point for AL. Unfortunately, IG couldn't really find much.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to play into a 4-kill Kiana and a 4-kill Kai'Sa. That's not an easy game for anybody. On top of the fact that, you know, we haven't really talked about him a ton. I mean, the flash ults from Shanks this game were magnificent on the Annie, really showcasing why that's been a huge pick for not only AL, but for a lot of teams here in the LPL. And don't forget, that's been Rookie's biggest champion throughout this year. It's his most played champion this split, and it's been a big pick for IG to take it away for AL in game number 1 and to have such a good game on it. It really is a massive swing, and it really does put IG on the back foot.
Yeah, I do wonder if this matters in the grand scheme of things against IG. I think it's a team that can easily just wipe this off the slate and come back into game number 2, but it was dominant, and so you have to ask those questions a little bit further. Still pretty quiet mid lane matchup. I mean, yes, some big moments from Shanks himself, but maybe a little bit less of an onus on this mid lane than we had expected or at least wanted to see coming into this one. As Rookie having a very quiet one on the Taliyah, but I think it's going to be all quiet from IG when the game goes like this, and this whole setup on the bot side was the end of the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's really tough for Rookie to play this game out. I'm not really blaming him for this one in particular. He stayed as even as he could against the Annie, which is really your job as Taliyah, is to make sure that you can at least go neutral against the Annie, who's going to have a good laning phase overall with the Kiana, and then utilize that side lane pressure. But by the time we got to 10 minutes in the game, IG were down 4k gold, and Kiana was out of control. It's really tough to play Taliyah in this particular instance. So, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But I imagine there are going to be more fireworks, especially, again, a lot of these safer picks are getting taken out. Annie, Taliyah, these are some of the higher priority, you know, just general team-oriented mid laners. You know, Galio might be one of the other ones, but there are a lot of carry mid laners that are still left up on the board that we could see the rest of the series.
There are, and I gotta say, I wasn't ready for a game 1 like this. I was ready for, you know, fisticuffs, rounds of fighting back and forth, objective setups left and right, all that good stuff. But all we got is a rough and tumble quick game in the end from anyone's legend. I do wonder who gets MVP for this one. I feel like it has to be Tarzan, but you might be able to argue for Hope in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan won the game with that bot lane play, but Hope was the one that was playing the most aggressive in the fights. If you want to dock, and I mean, we're really, you know, picking at straws here, but like, if you want to dock Tarzan for not hitting multiple ultimates this game, I think there is something to be said about that.
He was just throwing them out, dude. He didn't care where they were going. He just threw it left, threw it right, says, am I going to hit somebody? He was fishing. He was fishing. That's what it was.
Zoning ultimates. Zoning Kiana ultimates indeed. But
all right,
yeah,
it is going to be Kiana.
Ran the game.
Really quick, Brad, as we come out of this one, I want to see if we can stick with it for just a second. I want to see if the first play they show is that gank, because I would love to see that gank again, and I'm so sad we didn't get to see it in the actual play. But 819, you know, almost 70% KP on the Kiana. It sets a dangerous setup. Let's go. Here we go. We don't get to see the entirety of it, but this is what matters.
Yeah, I mean, this was the game-ending play. Like, Tarzan showing up, and I do want to critique Wei taking Scuttle Crab, watching his bot lane get way too low. If you go 2 seconds earlier, perhaps some things change, but that is the margin of error in a series like this. You can't make mistakes like that. Hopefully, IG can bounce back for game 2.
Yeah, and AL, don't do anything. Stay exactly how you are, because that looks real dominant. You got to remember, this is a final life in the playoffs themselves for both of these organizations. So a lot on the line between the two, and I want to see a good standard 5 games of the LPL playoffs. Before we get going, though, if you'd like to support the LPL English product, make sure you consider becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English product directly. Your contributions go directly to supporting the volunteers that make this show happen on a daily basis all year long. So please make sure you go check out our coffee, go subscribe. It's linked in chat. You can unlock some perks alongside it, but it's the best way to directly support the LPL English product. That was game number 1 of IG versus Anyone's Legend. We're going to be getting a little break, and we'll step into game number 2.
Hey everyone, I'm Sajed, 88 TC for Dark Zero in the NACL, and I'm here to break down this FPX backdoor and our Pro-diff deep dive. Baron is spawning in 1 minute, and that's the objective to play for, and the next mid wave coming out of base kind of dictates which team will get set up. FPX kind of has a cheat code because they took the enemy inhibitor, so they have the super minions, which will help them push the wave faster and makes their wave tankier. And Silas, he's down 7k gold. He kind of knows he's pretty useless, so he opts to not even show on the side wave and just goes and overgroups on mid wave. On the flip side, IG has rookie TP to the top lane, and then he shifts down to mid. So that's the two big advantages FPX has going into this fight. They have TP advantage on their mid laner, and they took the enemy inhibitor. So the fight starts really well for IG. They burn a bunch of the enemy sums and ults, but the problem is since they contested from top river, they never actually got the wave. Instantly they start running to the wave. They take the fight away from the TP-less Victor, who's the most fed member in the game, and they just walk the wave down. They know that the game went long enough that winning a 5v5 is not the only way to win the game. They want to play around their advantages, and taking the fight away from the TP-less Victor and into the enemy nexus is their best bet. IG made the mistake of over chasing into the enemy vision, and they never actually caught the wave. So FPX is actually able to just hit the nexus turrets and threaten an end. Gala never recalled. He opted to just walk to his nexus. Maybe he thought it was faster, but he never actually gets the impact the fight, and FPX actually does get the backdoor off. So in the end, it's really important to know what your advantages are in a game and just playing around them. FPX did that very well from a losing situation and actually won the game off that. Thanks for watching. You can check out one-on-one coaching from me and other pros at prodiff.gg. To stay up to date on everything LPL English, follow at LPL_English on Twitter, and make sure to catch the games on LPL's English Twitch or YouTube. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back, everyone, to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by K-Man. We got Bread behind the sticks, and what a game one. Setting the tone, potentially, for this best of 5, something I hope is not true. But AL, dominate game number 1, no looking back.
AL picking up right where they left off against Ninjas in Pajamas. They dominate game 4 of their previous series. They come right out in game 1 and decimate Invictus Gaming. We've been waiting for this team to get back onto pace. This might be the pace that we were hoping. This feels like best case scenario right now for AL. It's all just about if they can keep it up.
Can we, Brett, if you don't mind, can we go ahead and bring up the predictions again? Because I'm just maybe just got to bring it up because I know it was very one-sided for a lot of us. Very one-sided for IG, which, yeah, hey, I'm just saying there's 10 of us that all knew this was coming. We all knew it was going to 5, and AL have to win 2 if it's going to go to 5. So they have to win at least 1 game, which they did in game number 1. So we're still sitting pretty, but I'm just saying, K-Man, nobody voted AL.
Not a single person voted AL in this series, whether it be due to the love of IG or just the form that we've seen these two teams in. I think basically everything was pointing in the direction of IG. Not so much after game 1, but you're absolutely right. 1 game is 1 game. If IG bounce back here in game number 2 and tie us up at 1 apiece, we're going to a best of 3. And we know from the regular season that IG is more than capable of being able to pick up a best of 3 win against a team like AL.
That's their goal, man. They just want to get back home. Everybody wants to go back home. And IG are ones that want to for sure, but they got to find something of something to hold on to, I guess, for this game number 2, because that was a rough and tumble game 1. Tarzan had 3 items at 21 minutes into the game. I think that can't happen again. And what IG did in that game number 1 was opt into full scaling, full team fight setup for their draft, and maybe needing to change that up for this game number 2.
I just need to see a more precise resource gatherer for the team. In that game, it was the Sivir, but the Sivir's going to have a hard time being able to do that into Kai'Sa. Just in general, Kai'Sa not only scales really well into the matchup, but there's just better overall, like, I guess, setup for everything that's happening there. And so I want to see either mid lane or jungle go for something much more aggressive, much more carry-oriented. The Jarvan first pick did not work out. If you're going to go for a facilitator like that in the jungle, you probably want something that can do a bit more damage in the mid lane than Taliyah. I really do think jungle mid is where things went wrong for the team jungle in particular. We'll see if they can end up turning it around.
I said for game number 1, jungle will take a lot of prio in the first 3 picks of the games. We saw that at least present for IG in that game number 1. The first pick, Jarvan, didn't pan out for them. See if they adapt things for this game number 2. I do expect them to be back on the blue side to try to get some of those prio picks here. And we'll have to see if any of those draft adaptations come through in the bans as well, because there were some very particular ones in that game number 1.
Yeah, I think there are some big picks that are still up that I'm definitely going to be taking note of. I mean, Rumble is huge, especially for the Shy. It's really been his go-to pick across this entire year. Poppy, we talked about both for Wei and for Tarzan, and even for Kyle. All 3 of them are kind of known for their Poppy gameplay. And then Orianna is really the 3rd one. Even the Yunara can get thrown out there. There are so many priority picks. I mean, we're only in game 2 of this Fearless. Plenty of options left. I mean, even the Azir was banned out last game, and that's a carry option if they want to go for it. A lot of tone-setting picks are left up on the board.
Still looking to see if AL also on the other side want to change things up in their draft, see if they want to opt into more team fighting, because they did have some of that scaling factor to them last game, but it was a lot about that mid game, a lot about that early game, and more importantly, what Tarzan is going to be feeling this time around. Do we get the Zeds? Do we get things like that coming back through, or is he going to go back the tried and true in the jungle? We'll find out here quickly as we do get back into draft and into game number 2. IG will be on that blue side again. The Aurora, the Poppy, the Varus this time, as the Yunara, Rumble are going to be banned again by AL on the red side.
I think Varus is a necessary substitution here as a ban for IG because the main counter to it in the Sivir is now off the board. But as I talked about, Orianna has been massive across this entire year for both of these players, especially with Annie off the board for rookie. It immediately goes Annie, Orianna. In terms of the priority for this team, it kind of can fit into basically any comp that you want. It's damage, but it also can still be a facilitator. Love the pick here on B1. Really, they can build around it in any way they want.
Just giving rookie the handles, man. Just give him the sticks and he will find promise. as AL gonna go with something that I was shocked to see left open in game number 1, but also is gonna be left open in game number 2 and rightfully picked up by AL in the Pantheon, and Tarzan's gonna be right back to his menacing ways.
Yeah, Pantheon's kind of fallen off a bit in terms of priority, at least in like game 1. It is still very strong though. I mean, this is still a pick I don't want to face in a game. It can still do a lot of damage, and certainly someone like Tarzan, who we already saw get gigantic early game leads, you don't really want to give him a playmaker like that. The Corki is going to get locked in for some bot lane prio, but it's immediately answered by the Lucian Braum. That 2v2 gauntlet is getting thrown down. The question is, do AL want to pick support here and kind of play off that Corki? Do they want to pick the Galio potentially to play with the Pantheon in terms of the double global? Couple of options, but it will be the Nico, so bot lane's picked for both sides.
Not that much range for that bot lane for IG, and I think they're going to fall right into the trap of Kyle. He's been an incredible Nico, and we'll get it yet again here in the playoffs. But the second round of bans are coming through. We're getting the carry focus. Junglers banned away against Wei this time as Nefiri is taken away.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the carry junglers we've already seen can look pretty good in the right circumstances. Nefiri certainly one of the better ones alongside that Zed, potentially Viego. Things like that could get pulled out in this series. I think they're definitely playable right now. But when you look at specifically what Wei likes to lean towards, divers. He wants to play these champions that can go in. We saw the Jarvan in game 1. Something like the Vi could very much be on the table if it's not banned out here in game number 2. Also could see the Trundle that I pointed out in that first draft. Even something like the Skarner. It's just more setup potentially to play off that team fight option and try to get the solution ahead.
One combo I've really liked is the Wukong Orianna, just because you have some sly ways you can get that Shockwave combo in. It's going to be the Trundle ban by AL, so they're really focusing on Wei's champ pool. The Renekton ban will be levied once again towards Flandra in this game number 2, and we'll see what AL want to keep for counter pick.
I'm honestly shocked Galio has made it through the second phase of bans here. I think Galio Pantheon is so hard to deal with if they want to go for it, especially with something like a Corki as well. Even like a Nico Pop Blossom, like the combo potential later on in this game is terrifying. I get that Shank's not always known for champions like this, but the Galio is an easy lock here, and pairing it up with the rest of this draft, I really love this setup for AL.
My only concern is the damage profile, but you do have a Tarzan as ahead. That's not going to really matter in a lot of cases. So IG going to need a little bit of some damage of their own, potentially some shoring up of this front line as well, as the classic Orianna Wukong combo, as of now, I guess, is going to come through here.
Yep, it's just more teamfight presence. IG kind of looking at what happened in game number 1 and saying, well, the problem was we didn't index enough into that. We want a more wombo combo oriented kind of play. You know, playing around Talia Jarvan might be a bit more difficult. It's even going to be the Yorick for side lane pressure that fits exactly into what the Shy has been doing. I mentioned it in game 1. He's near the bottom of the entire league in kill participation, but near the top of the league in damage per minute. And so the Yorick really fits in terms of kind of playing his own single player game on the top. Don't be surprised if we do see a counter pick here. You know, Shogath, kind of the one that's been coming through all year long. Flandra, he likes the tanks.
But let's go. The Cho'Gath makes it through. Flandra's cooking once again. I think it's been a while since we've seen confidence instilled in this guy. You got to remember, Flandra was the star of the show at split number 1 for AL. My God, that man was completely molding the top lane meta. And it's been a little bit of fall off since then for him. But now going against the Shy in the top lane with that Yorick in the side lane pressure situations, it's going to be really important to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I really love AL's combo here of the Pantheon, the Galio with the Corki, but I think IG have a better comp than they did in game number 1. I think they have more options available to them. I think their mid game is much more consistent, and they have a lane they can truly play through here with the Lucian Braum. Orianna should also be able to get the shove in onto the Galio, and so overall, definitely think IG have more options. It's all really just about if AL can get that lead in that mid-jungle duo, just like they did in that first game.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to rely on that, you're probably going to be pretty happy most of the time, but that's where we have to put a lot of pressure on IG side. I don't want to see this team come back from a reverse sweep. I don't want to see this team fall down 0-2, because that's a deep hole that not a lot of teams can crawl out of against AL. And so after that game number 1, I really want to see this comp come to life. I want to see these combos come to life. You have a lot of synergies pre-built in this draft of Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of ways for you to be able to play off of your teammates' strengths and, you know, negate some of your teammates' weaknesses. We saw an execution gap in game number 1. Truly, at the end of the day, that's what it was. If that happens again, it will not matter, but they've definitely given themselves the tools to fight back here in game 2.
It might have been a supreme display of talent in game number 1, but we're looking for IG's return here in game number 2. Can they put together this early game setup for them, at least to find a little bit of stability in game number 2 as we head back to Shenzhen and we head back to IG versus AL. Bumper! So cute. Is that Corky? I think it was. Sorry,
how appropriate.
My brain took over.
No, you're correct, Lennon. You're absolutely correct. That is absolutely something worth calling out at the beginning of this. Also worth calling out, the fans showed up here today. They're loud. Yeah. They are ready. They are ready to go. They are excited for this series despite the game 1 stomp, and I am as well.
I mean, they need to be. I would not expect. I know that not everybody can win a split, whatever. But the fact that we're here right now in this round when we still have, 5 best of 5s, including this one left, and IG or AL are about to bow out of the tournament is just insanity to me. And rightfully so, they have a lot of fans behind them because these are 2 organizations that we expected to be at the top coming into these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't just regular old teams. I mean, IG is full of world champions, 3 world champions, 5 LPL champions. AL are the defending champions with this roster. And so, you're looking at 10 players who have reached the mountaintop here domestically, and they want to get back there. But as we see the trades going down in the bot lane 2v2, we see parallel starts here from the junglers, at least on the bottom side of the map. That could be more in action. Just like we saw in game number 1, we saw that dual start come back to bite Wei. Kala getting stuck and taking a minute chip.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to be willing to go for that angle there. Congratulations to Tarzan. Just a little bit of shout out. 500th game in the LPL. A lot of games under his belt here as the mercenary title merchant, I guess, across the LPL here, finding himself across different organizations and still finding success here. For AL, trying to go back-to-back in this run as we take a look at the comp from IG, and that is why we focused on the Orianna for rookie. Why IG were willing to B1 this pick, because it has been so strong for the legendary mid lane.
Yeah, I wanted to push it a lot in draft because this really is a huge pick for rookie and for Shanks and for IG to be able to pick this up in game number 2. You should feel pretty confident. Flantra, though, could be in danger.
Oh, he's in a lot of danger here. He will not have the rupture any longer. He will not have any escape tools, and he's going to give the kill right to Wei.
That is a huge gank from Wei. It's exactly what he needed to do in order to establish himself in this game, to get Tarzan on the back foot at least a little bit here. It's basically what happened in game number 1 to a slightly lesser degree, but skipping some camps in order to get that kill is more than worth it if you are able to establish that pressure. And now, Wei has the potential to kind of duel out Tarzan if he wants to utilize those resources.
Yeah, I do want to see if AL are going to want to collapse this mid-jungle duo here. There are already pings coming down, but the vision will be there, so Tarzan going to be spotted doing the scuttle crab. This should just be the trade. Obviously, Wei is going to be a little bit behind, so Tarzan could take the preemptive path and get a double scuttle clear.
I think he's going to look for Wei here instead, though. It certainly would be.
He wants it. He even cues it up.
Aggressive play. He's just going to miss him, I think, unless he goes all the way in. You will see. He's just going to back. The more reserved play
Ships
coming
in the night. Yeah. I don't know what happened bot lane, but IG said we want out. They're going to transfer Gala away from that bot lane. He was already down a decent amount of CS, and Shanks in some trouble in mid lane now as well. But we are going to get the lane swap-a-roonies coming in from only IG this time. We do see Hope going back down towards bot lane, even though they already see the Shy down there.
It's actually what I consider the first real breakpoint timer right now in the current meta of when you can swap, is that 4-minute mark to be able to get, your bot laner up to the top side. By that 4.5-minute mark, you're going to be able to catch the cannon wave and really push it forward. So definitely looks like IG want to put those resources onto the top side, maybe punish Flandra a bit more, especially after that early death. Luckily, he still does have his flash available to him. He didn't burn it in that exchange earlier with Wei, so not the most punishable Cho'Gath of all time, but certainly a lane that should be good overall.
Yeah.
Looks like they are going to keep Kyle down here, though, at least for now.
You want to see when these supports get impact on the map as well. They will be both looking for roams. A lot of safety being played by both squads, a little bit less so in the top lane here. But it was, in the end, Tarzan getting that double scuttle across the map, so we will have a little bit of an advantage in that. And we do have a first dragon, Infernal Dragon. Don't know how much that's going to be of interest of both teams earlier on, as both junglers pathing up towards this top side.
Definitely one that I imagine AL is going to have pretty full control over if they want it.
Oh, they got the catch on the Shy.
Okay. Yeah.
He's fine. He's just Yorick.
Definitely tough to fully capitalize, but Tarzan will get caught here.
Tarzan going to get found out in the jungle. Wei feeling very proud with Mako right behind him to take this skirmish. Unfortunately, Flandra really can't move over, as there will be the smite used. Wei trying to get as much as he can there, but the vision will show his way out. Flandra could be the focus now. The Shy needs to be very careful on bot side. He has not hit level 6, does not have the Maiden. Will be just fine for now and should be very close to hitting that 6 mark very shortly. And that is not going to be enough in that bot lane to get AL anything.
Yeah, Tarzan kind of desperately moving around the map looking for something. Top lane is going to be a bit of a nightmare area for him right now because of that early swap. He's going to make his way down to the bot side here. This has to be the area of pressure for AL. If Tarzan's going to get anything, it's going to come on this side of the map. He might be looking for a dive onto the Yorick. Looks like he's pathing there.
He won't be spotted out till he comes around the corner here. But it might just be too late for the Shy. The wave's coming in, but it's a little bit delayed, and Tarzan's going to try to make the move here. Goes on to the Maiden, just tries to fight out the Shy, but the Shy is chunking him with the Maiden here. You got to do something to commit to this, as now the TP's coming in. That's going to be Mako coming to save the Shy.
Yeah, I mean, this is just... It's burning resources, which is good for AL, but it's a lot of this early tempo and pressure that Pantheon wants to generate kind of going to waste in this game. Remember, IG have a ton of options the later this game goes. Kyle takes a little bit of a trade onto Mako here. It's good play from IG. It's controlling the tempo. They might be down a little bit of gold, just generally from that Corki being up in CS and a little bit of a lead for Flandra, but certainly not a bad game state for them at all.
Not at all. Stark contrast to the last game where we were already seeing a multi-thousand gold lead for AL. This game much more stable, much more akin to what IG like to have. But 30 seconds till that grubby Geddon, at least, spawning here. And the Dragon still hasn't been prio'd by either squad just yet. Who do you favor around the grub fight if it is just going to be a 4-on-4 at this point with the TPs available, potentially 5-on-5?
It's still very tricky, and I think right now it really comes down to what kind of poke you can get, who gets established area control first. I think Shanks' ultimate could be massive. Tarzan still has a ton of damage on the table. You cannot underestimate the Pantheon just because he's a little bit behind in terms of tempo. In fact, he's not even all that behind in terms of gold here. So definitely would at the very least right now favor AL, but this is what you rotated bot lane top 4, is to be able to get that tempo here. IG's going to start it up.
All right, they have the chomp as well, so they can get it. There's the Grand Starfall. Shockwave catches Kyle out, but here IG are surrounded. They get engaged on by Tarzan onto Mako. Here comes the heroic entrance as well. Hope is there firing away. His Gatling gun bark into the moon as Wei gets flashed out by Flandre and chomped to hell. The Shy has come in with a late TP, but it's going to be a little bit too little too late as the Shy is going down too. The winds of war have swung in AL's favor as Kyle is still alive. Going to get flashed on by Gala. Rookie's going to go down in the end, and Hope is just picking up all the gold. AL make a play again, and this time it's around the grubs, and this time they're going to get 2 for 1 and the team fight.
It's anyone's legend utilizing their comp strengths better than Invictus can. They just end up being there first and being in a really good spot. The moment that you catch out one member of IG, this fight becomes significantly more difficult. It doesn't even really matter who it is. The Grand Starfall comes in and you would hope that you're able to get on the Orianna, but the fact that Tarzan can just flash over and with the damage from Hope take down this Braum, all of a sudden the front line has been deleted. Wei gets way too low, dueling both Tarzan and Flandra, and it's the flash chomp coming in from the Cho'Gath. It doesn't matter that Tarzan goes down at this point. I want to point out this taunt coming in from Shanks as well.
Yeah.
He plays this fight really well on the Galio, but it's, again, utilizing that strength from AL. It's the mid-game power spike.
I gotta say, I'm the biggest rookie stan out there. That man got rinsed by Kyle. He literally, it's not in the picture. I could see it on the minimap. He tried to flash for the kill on a Kyle, then completely separated himself from the entirety of the team, walks back in, and then that's that situation where you see where he does literally nothing and gets killed in the end. Kyle just absolutely mind manipulated one of the best mid laners in the LPL, and that is the power that Kyle brings. He has been a superstar in the support role all year long for AL.
so glad we highlighted supports in the pre-show here because both of them are so important towards their teams. And Kyle, you know, a player that people have kind of overlooked over the course of this split. Maybe he hasn't been as good as he was at the start of the year. He is stepping up here today, Nico being one of the primary playmaking picks for him. And it's IG who cannot keep it going. AL is going to be able to take this Dragon for free. That's Grubs. That's Dragon. You know, at least 2 Grubs. Very big positive here. IG's going to make their way, but I think they might just not be able to contest this.
Give him the feast. Give him the feast. Oh, the Shockwave going to come in on 2. They're looking for the feast, but it's going to be the Smite instead. They get the double Pop Blossom, at least on the clone, and to the real way. And they will kill both of you, not even just one. And that's another pick for AL. They take everything from the bot side as well.
I don't know why you contest that. If you're Invictus Gaming, you're already losing in the mid game. You've given so much gold. You just need to scale, and even if you end up landing that Smite fight win, oh, Shanks is looking here.
Oh my
coming
god,
in.
the Grand Star, but this is what we said for the draft. K-Man! Catch the Shy out in side lane. Doesn't matter if he missed the Q, but this combo is lethal. Pantheon plus Galio can be wherever you are.
Look, I understand. Pantheon Galio, not quite as strong as maybe it was a couple of months ago. You cannot let this through draft. This is so strong for this team in particular because they play so well through their mid-game power spikes, and it's IG just once again getting punished for over-pushing and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. IG looked so good after the first couple of minutes. AL have taken full control of this game once again.
Oh, man. It felt like it was so much closer. It was such much more a contested matchup in this game number 2, and all of a sudden that Avalanche is coming back for round 2, and it's about a 2,000-3,000 gold lead hovering around there for AL. So far, so good for them, but IG, they still have some strengths that go for them as well. The scaling for Rookie, the combinations that we set from draft, some of those inherent synergies, especially the Lucian Braum coming to fruition a little bit here with these combos and some of the damage that he gets as long as he continues to complete these items. But do we still like them if these team fights continue to go AL's way?
I think that's the hope right now for IG is just, okay, well, you scale. Like, eventually, Wukong Orianna, you get one great Shockwave off, potentially right into a culling, and all of a sudden things can turn around for IG. It's going to take some time, though. You can't afford to make a ton of mistakes. Again, that's why I criticize them contesting that Dragon so much, even if you're able to pick it up. It's a 10-minute first Drake. You're not really playing for soul in that instance, as you're not going to have Cryo, so you just can't be overexerting yourself and contesting objectives. So we, again, just see AL really pushing IG out of their own jungle here.
And I gotta say, this is a refreshing version of AL. Across these last 2 series, I was flabbergasted from some of the mistakes, some of the personal issues that we saw in that series against Weibo. And the fact that AL didn't look like themselves in that series in a lot of cases, even in the wins, I feel like. And to see them across these last 2 series regain some of that confidence, some of that dominance that we've known them for, maybe not all of split number 3, but at least across the year, it feels good to see them at least combining together across that way.
Genuinely, through the first 2 games here, it feels like these 2 teams have swapped in terms of where they're at. This inconsistent AL team from the regular season has become so dominant in the early game off of their hands. And this IG team is really struggling to maintain pressure in the mid game where AL struggled the most in the regular season. The question is now, can AL hang on to that? This is a team that has been able to generate leads and has not always been the best at hanging on to them, as I said, throughout the regular season. But Tarzan certainly has something to say about the Shy living rent-free on the top side. Might punish him here.
Hold your maiden close, the Shy, because they are coming for you. Lock the doors. Prep anything you can, because I don't think there's going to be much saving you. No TP, no nothing to come save the Shy, and his maiden will watch as he is taken down to the dirt.
There's just no counterplay to that. They're rushing for this first turret down on the bot side with Rookie. They're not going to be able to pick it up. They're not even close. Teleport even coming in from Flandra into the mid lane to stop the push from the bot lane. It's just everything working out for AL. They barely have to burn any resources in order to make that play happen. IG will eventually get this bot lane tower, but Shanks certainly will grab it first. It's just wins all around. AL controlling the map and controlling the tempo, dominating game number 2 so far.
And now with like some of the side lanes being bursted open gives so many more options for AL to pounce on those side lanes if there is any overextensions by IG. We do have the Rift Herald up and available now. Could be that next setup for either team, that next objective fight here, but it is about 25 seconds for the Mountain Dragon as well on the bot side.
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit less priority here than the Herald, with the first dragon being taken so late. That Soul is just a pretty tough win condition for both teams.
Hope is in no man's land.
The Herald. Yeah, Hope is not here at all. Tarzan also going to be a little late. He's going to have to ult in for this if he wants to get
No, I think they're just going to leave it. He's doing the red buff. He says, guys, I don't want it. I don't want it. We're going to let it go. It is going to be... Oh, somebody. Okay, Mako. The experienced member. He finds
Tarzan
it.
ulting now.
All right. Tarzan did end up trying to get a catch out as they were walking back to mid lane. They will get an outer turret because of it. They know Tarzan is in there, but they didn't have any vision there. And here comes the heroic entrance, the Pop Blossom combo. We called from drafted Tarzan. He is hunting way, but it's Shanks that gets the kill anyways. Now Gala is stepping up, but he's 2 levels down on Tarzan. And IG have fallen into the trap, and those trap jaws are closing shut right on their arms as they've got nothing left here. It's going to be a couple more kills going AL's way, and that lead is ballooning into a nightmare for Invictus Gaming.
Anyone's legend saying, we don't need the Rift Herald. Who cares? You're going to drop it in the mid lane and it's instantly going to die. We don't worry about it. You're gonna bait yourself. It's all fine. It's just crazy how much map control this team has. They get Dragon off of this as well, but Tarzan once again going undetected. He just has such a perfect idea for where vision is placed right now with this IG team, and he's taking full advantage of it by absolutely obliterating their backline so early on in these fights.
And I want to praise this AL team so much, just like anybody else in these moments. And some of these fights are incredible, but I cannot stand beside myself and not be heartbroken for the version of IG that we're seeing today. They are miscontrolled and mismanaged across a lot of these fronts. I mean, they fall right into this. They literally walked into a collapse from AL.
Yeah, I mean, they just had no clue. I guess that Tarzan was there sitting in the bush. It really ends up coming back to bite them in terms of their game plan, but it's the aggressiveness from AL, it's the decisiveness, something that this team was sorely lacking in some of their previous series that they are not lacking for at all today. They are not afraid to make plays with this very, very, synergistic comp, and it's really working out. That gold graph, in terms of those players, definitely showcasing that.
We're going to be getting second items here for a majority of everybody, but look at that player gold. 4 members of AL at the top of the leaderboard here. Looks like those second items going to be coming sooner rather than later for anyone's legend, as we already have the Magi's there for Shanks. He's feeling super confident on this Galio. We do have that Black Cleaver completed for Tarzan. I gotta say, looking back at the draft, I feel like you gotta feel real good from AL's perspective, being able to get the Pantheon and build a comp around it. Feels like there was no roadblocks in their way to get this very good draft for game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, and you allowed Rookie to have Orianna, and you came out of the draft feeling incredibly powerful. That's terrifying. If you're IG, you got so many comfort picks, even Gala's Lucian, Mako's Braum. These have been big picks for the team across this year, and it just has not mattered. AL has had better execution, better setups, and we'll see how much IG can do to take it down. Remember, I'm not going to keep, pushing this point. It gets harder and harder to, imagine a reality, but there could be a miracle play coming in here. You still have the tools to wombo combo with the Wukong and the Orianna. It's just really hard to imagine you ever breaking through that front line. It's all going to be about if you can get that Yorick online and get that side lane pressure going.
He's down 2 levels to Flandra, and now Tarzan's coming to punish him again. He's not even going to use the Grand Starfall. He's just going to walk his way there. He's looking for the speed up now. The CC chain and the Shy goes down to the feast of Flandra, and all AL are just feasting on the corpses of Invictus Gaming here.
Yeah, everybody is here in terms of Shanks teleporting in. Hope and Kyle are making their way down. Mako is here. This looked like it was, kind of gearing up to be a big fight, but I think very wisely IG is like, maybe not. Maybe we don't want that one. So they are going to back off. As for objectives, 30 seconds until Otacon spawns. That's going to be pretty major for AL if they're able to grab that and compound their already gigantic level lead. That really could seal the deal. But we have seen multiple Otacon throws already this playoff run from many teams, Mizzell. You certainly can't
across
count
the
your
world,
chickens
honestly. So
That's true.
It's been a virus, all right, across competitive play. But we do finally have second item for Rookie, and I think that was a big break point I really wanted to get to see if maybe IG can put together that combo you were talking about. The Seraph's going to be very nice now. We are getting AL forcing the Atakan. They have the feast. They have everything they need to force the hand of IG.
They are starting it up, and it's going to go low very, very quickly here. IG are going to try to make their way in. AL don't actually have great control here.
Catch on Kyle, but here comes the Grand Starfall into Gala. He went a little bit ham on that one, but Mako is going to take the heat for Gala. And that's going to be Atakan down half health now without this front line. The only person that can take an engage is Wei. He does still have the Cyclone up. The Rupture is going to go a little bit wide, but Kyle looking for his Pop Blossom moment. And that's a little bit of a moment right there. Shanks is now just running into the back line. Wei is trying to collapse on him, but he's going to use Heroic Entrance. Tarzan walked the long way around, and no matter what, your nightmare always arrives as he's coming to the hopes and dreams of IG. He wants a little bit more here. He's going to smite. He's going to dash. He's going to get the kill, and that's going to be a complete and total wipe of Invictus Gaming. The only one left is the just respawned Mako.
AL is so far ahead. They are so dominant in this game that they win a team fight without their Fed Pantheon. It's very, very, very over for IG right now if they cannot get their handles under them right now. The flash ult coming in from Kyle to set everything up. It lands on both Gala and Wei. Gala does cleanse it, but it's too late. At this point, Shanks, Flandra they're able to land so much damage onto the Lucian. Shanks using that ult to peel off. The shockwave's okay, but Hope is just free firing on the backline this entire time. Tarzan finally makes his way into the fight, and by this point, the health bars are done. Gala and Rookie are over. AL are in that driver's seat and grabbing that Otacon, grabbing that fight win, and now grabbing the spot lane tier 1 tower as well with this dragon on the table. Just feels like everything is coming up anyone's legend in this series.
If I'm going to be a little funny about it, I think their entire AL team were asking where Tarzan went. And he just came back from the forest. And he had a couple flowers in his hair. He just went on a little bit of a journey to get there, but ends up being dominant nonetheless. And yeah, this AL team is terrifying. I mean, they're at 10,000 gold up now. This is the second 10,000 plus gold lead that they've had in this series, and it's only 22 minutes into this game as well. They are one dragon away from Seoul, and AL look like they're trying to make that run to that second championship in a row.
This does not look like the AL from the regular season. This looks like the defending champions, the team that we hoped and prayed would show up in this playoff run. There have been real questions about whether or not AL could even get back to that form. You know, I know we're talking, LPL, and they definitely want to retain their title as contenders, but, this was an AL team we had international expectations for, and there was just concerns this split that they weren't going to live up to that. Here you go. Here's the AL we hoped for and were promised. They are delivering in this series.
And they, again, didn't look like themselves in that first round 1 series against Weibo, but across these last 2, they definitely have come back. I don't know what Tabe did to talk them some sense into them. They definitely have been performing here, at least across these last 2. Flandra is going to siege down, but Rookie's going to step up. A couple rockets to the dome as he's going to try to clear the wave there with the shockwave. He is going to be successful in that. The turret's almost dead anyways. Kyle looking for an angle of his own as Tarzan takes the red buff.
Yeah, when you have to use Shockwave to clear wave and you're this far behind, that's kind of the note that things are, a little bit problematic for you right now. We have pings coming down, but the double pressure, there's no Baron. It's not even 25 minutes yet. AL are playing as if they have the Baron buff and are able to push every lane. They're just able to do this with the sheer gold lead that they have. Absolutely ridiculous stuff and full control from them.
And I gotta say, we talked so much about the jungle a little bit earlier on into that first game as well. We, coming into the series, really wanted to highlight this mid lane, but I think bot lane as a whole has been the star point for AL so far tonight. I know Tarzan got game 1 MVP, but Hope and Kyle have been on one tonight in this best of, and it's been incredible to watch. I mean, not only has Hope just been picking up kills left and right, expertly navigating a lot of these team fights, Kyle is feeling like Kyle that ran this league from the support perspective, as now we get the TPs coming in from IG as well as a little bit of setup from AL around this top side, but it's just going to be the Grand Starfall used and a little bit of an exit from IG.
Yeah, it's a lot of cooldowns burn for AL. I guess it's Baron pressure, so theoretically you've got that going for you, but certainly, you know, IG doing a good job of at least disengaging a play that very much would have gone south for them very quickly if they went for it. Right now, they're just trying to make sure they have the shove in the mid lane so that it's not free for AL to take this Baron, but certainly becoming difficult. Kyle is on the flank.
All right, they actually have a little bit of an angle here. TP
Oh,
coming in.
teleport.
That's going to be backline from Shanks and IG. They're being surrounded like fish in a barrel. It's an easy target as the Shy is singled out first and foremost. The Rupture is going to be flashed out of, and now AL, they are continuing to pressure the flanks of IG as they run out of town, but Kyle and Shanks, they are moving down here. They've got them surrounded. IG just going to try to go out bot lane. I don't know what their hope and pray is here, but they got to hold those beads around their neck or something because AL are coming for them, and it's not going to be pretty. Just like that, 2 are down. A third goes over. Or is he going to be able to get the rest cleaned up here as they can't take down Rookie? He's too damn fast. They want to get a quadra kill for Hope. They can take him down. The Rupture and a quadra kill for the only and biggest hope of anyone's legend.
Hope is dominating right now in this series. This is the best we have seen him play in so long. This Corki is stepping up and free firing on the backline. You do want to give a lot of credit to all of the setup in that fight as well, though. For AL, it's the entire team clicking IG with nowhere to go. On the bottom side of the map, they walk themselves into a corner, and not only is that going to be full pressure for AL, that is going to be Baron for them as well as they started up here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be taken down very quickly, and we're going to be staring at a 15,000 gold deficit yet again, and again, 40 seconds for the next dragon as well. A Hex Tech Soul, which will just continue to improve the firepower of anyone's legend. And I got to give special props to the entirety of the team at Anyone's Legend. This is the second red side dominant game from them. Where in the playoffs, we've seen blue side be dominant. Mako going down. I don't even know if we need to talk about this anymore because it's a massacre. It might just be going on the news later tonight as a double kill comes through for Shanks. He's got 25 stack of his Magi's, and IG are looking to go next.
Yeah, this might be the game-ending push. Shockwave goes down. It just lands onto Shanks. They're not able to find anything else. No damage coming through. This is likely going to be the game-ending push.
He's 8P, and he takes no damage from a full combo of Rookie. Like, that is just a little bit of the story of the take here in terms of how this game 2 has gone. Rookie gets flashed on, doesn't end up going down, but the heroic entrance coming through. The Pop Blossom on top of it. The Venn diagram of doom has come for IG, and they don't want to go back to school. As the Baron minions are coming in here, the Hextech gate will be taken as an exit from AL to collapse over to this dragon and get Soul.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could have probably gotten game, but it's fine. You can take Soul instead. Soul could be anything. It could even be game. So, you know, you definitely want to go ahead and take that if you're AL. Jokes aside, they're just running absolutely everything on the map here today. It's just ridiculous how good this team is looking. We're going to get a chance to look at how Mako got caught. It's just Shanks sitting in a brush. I mean, he full combos him, and it's the entire health bar of Braum. He can't tank up a Galio at this point in the game. It's so tough to play. We didn't even see the second part of that. Gala flashing over the wall to get out of it, only to run immediately into a Pantheon. Just becomes harder and harder to play the farther this goes on.
And I know we talked about, I holistically highlighted the bot lane of AL. I know we talked exclusively about Hope in that conversation, but sitting at 19 KP in a 23 kill game for AL, Kyle has had 2 games back-to-back of just supreme influence. I knew when we got this Nico that he was going to be a major factor in this one. He always has been when he's willing to go with these more niche picks as well. But he has had Mako's number all series long. I know Mako had a decent setup in some of the game number 1, but Kyle was the one kind of leading the pace from the support role, and maybe that's a little bit of a microcosm to this entire year. Kyle has been the best support that LPL has to offer.
And he is finding his form at the perfect time as they head towards the back end of this playoff run. Mako could be caught again. He's going to have to cleanse out using that spellbook. Here we go.
Oh my dude, Tarzan! Oh my god, he is delivering IG to justice, and he's delivering pain all along the back line. Rookie's trying to clear out some of the wave here, trying to distract a little bit from the turrets. But unfortunately, AL have one goal in mind, and that is to bring IG to match point. The run that needed to start in the lower bracket for AL is looking dominant as ever as they are taking names in this best of, and that's going to be a 2-0 lead in the lower bracket.
Ooh, Mazel, I'm getting scared. This is looking quite dominant across the first 2 games. It's not just been 2 AL wins, it's been 2 AL stomps. This team is looking as good as advertised. And quite frankly, Invictus has not shown up here today. This team is getting outplayed at every possible avenue. And if there was ever a time for them to show up, it's now.
I'm getting terrified, K-Man. An entire year of trying to be the best for IG that started with this we were like, the LPL is saved. Our legends have come back and they want to make things right. And yes, a lot of those aspirations were to Worlds, were to Internationals, but it's also a little bit of that domestic pride. There's only one Silver Dragon Cup, and over the years, it has been the most integral part, the most integral award to our domestic success. And IG want that at least one time this year, please. But they haven't been able to find it. They haven't been on form when it matters most. And here they find themselves again, backs against the wall. You thought that upper bracket run was going to be good, but they got knocked down heavy-handedly by BLG and have struggled to regain themselves and recoup themselves ever since.
Let's not forget as well for this IG team, you're absolutely right. Like, they have not gotten to their ambitions this year. They've not been able to live up to that top 2 that they were hoping for. They got 3rd in Split 2. This wasn't a team that bottomed out before this. They succeeded in the playoffs. They just kind of ran into a BLG team that was a little bit better than them in Split number 2. They're nowhere close to that right now. This is a team that does not look like they are capable of competing for top 2 or top 3 like they were in the previous split. And if that's going to be the reality for IG, you know, we've talked about it, like they still have the regional qualifier to go through, but that's not a given. That's not guaranteed for any team. Even if you end up losing this series, you need to make sure you get some momentum and confidence going in to what are the biggest games of the year for you.
I don't even know what they do at this point. You've literally lost 2 games on blue side, which I don't know the exact percentages, but blue side was very strong. And I think there's a reason why every time a team loses, they choose blue side. But do you just switch to red side this? Like, I'm struggling to find answers on what IG do here, because it had been a late game exclusive scaling comp that didn't work for them. It had been a little bit more early game onus that didn't work for them. What options do we have left?
I will say, for what it's worth, the LCK has kind of moved into a direction where games 3 and 4 of a series, red side actually feels a little bit more, incentivized because of the Fearless format. Not sure if that's the case here for IG with so many power picks still up, but look at the damage graph. I really do think like the damage charts for these champions is indicative of the game. It's a team effort from AL. It's the fact that IG is kind of reliant on these big plays to happen, whereas everyone on AL is winning and dominating and pushing themselves across the finish line, and that's why you get a gold graph like you do in this game where they just dominate.
Yeah, and AL have not looked back since starting the series as a whole. I think it was a very much more even game, at least for the first 12 minutes of this one for sure. As we take a look back to it, this is a little bit deep into it. This is the play where I gotta say, look into the corner of your eyes here, and you're gonna see Rookie try to flash on Kyle. Okay, you don't see. You see
I see the flash.
The little piece. Yeah. He doesn't kill him, and then Kyle tangle barbs him on the back end of this play to get him killed, which is just hilarious to me. But it was a fight that IG whole-handedly lost.
Yeah, this is a nightmare. I mean, again, like, I hate to point out, you don't want to point to one play. That's just the encapsulation of an entire game. Like, in game number 1, you don't want to say that level 3 was everything. But, man, we are looking at a couple of games where one fight just kind of changed everything, where the game was kind of over from that point onwards. You can't give Pantheon Galio this kind of priority, especially when it's Tarzan, playing that Pantheon, because he's going to use it, and that's exactly what happened here. A big macro advantage that turned into a game that just became very unplayable very fast.
They really wanted Rookie's Orianna. What they paid for it was a Pantheon that has dominated the LPL ever since it had come into meta, but also anytime it's let through, which is very rarely, a little bit more so as of late here in the playoffs. But in the right hands, this pick can still be oh so dominant. So I guess we got to start talking about who gets MVP for this second game. I hope pretty good candidate. Kyle, though. Kyle, though. All right. I'm just saying. Some of the setups from Kyle were pretty nasty. Could be getting the MVP here too.
You know, I think it has to go to a bot lane member. That I definitely feel comfortable in. Whether it's Hope or Kyle,
Here comes
I think they're
Flandre
the
getting
two.
it.
Yeah, cut
Out
to
of left field.
the Shanks Galio, who was good this game, but just for me, I just think Hope's damage in those fights, he was so consistent at just maximizing his tempo in that game, his positioning, so good on the Corki. He was willing to, you know, Valkyrie in and play really aggressive, even when this team only had like a 2k gold lead. You know, he wasn't really afraid to try and maximize the damage, and I think that that's really impressive to me. If you wanted to give it to Kyle for the setups, I totally understand. Really great ultimates, but for me, Hope, I think, played a really excellent game on the Corki.
Little side note, I loved how deep Tarzan continued to go with the ultimates because he's just setting up for Shanks to come join, and he will just be in prime position to get a lot of those wombo combos off, and just a little bit of that synergy built into the compositional strengths. And as soon as we saw that Pantheon Galio, we knew what was coming. It was those side lane plays, and they were able to execute it well.
And don't forget, they got that Galio second rotation. Like that was that got through 5 separate bans from IG in that game. They banned the Renekton over that Galio. I think they might want to rethink that going into potentially some future series. But for now, the Galio at the very least is off the board. The Pantheon off the board. The Talia as well is off the board. Same thing with the Orianna, the Annie. A lot of these big mid lane picks that have been really prioritized by Shanks in particular are gone. We've seen him kind of, you know, as these series go later, start to get more into those assassins, things like a Kali. Kassadin has been a really big pick for him. We'll see if that ends up being the transition here, and if that's the case, what's Rookie's response?
Yeah, and see how they can take that mid lane itself into a little bit better of standings here, because right now mid lane's been a little bit quiet, besides Shanks having some pop-offs across a couple games. Tarzan's going to get another one. All right, we'll give it to him. The leading man for anyone's legend. I know I'm sorry to call you out, or not call you out, but show you something a little bit that we talked about behind the scenes. But without this man, without Tarzan on this roster feels a lot different. And I feel like the way that Tarzan manipulates himself, but also the teams that he's on, and especially this AL team, without him, this would not have energy.
Hey, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to draw one conclusion. This team, with 3 of the 5 members last year, was a 6th, 7th place team. With Tarzan, they win the league. I'm just going to leave it there.
Results-based analysis, that's my favorite thing. So that is it for game number 2 of the series. We are really, really hoping for IG to find a little bit of something in this series, potentially start the reverse sweep, because if not, their season is done, and the league will be a little bit more sad because of it. We will see you on the other side of this break for game number 3. The penultimate game, potentially, or the ultimate game for IG. Welcome back, everyone, to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. I'm Bazell. I'm joined by K-Man. We've got Bread behind the scenes pushing all the buttons, and we've got Anyone's Legend pushing their buttons a lot better than Invictus Gaming so far in this best of 5 2-0 lead. And unfortunately, IG now backs against the wall.
Yeah, some 2-0s are created, you know, a little bit fairly. This one was created quite unfairly. It's been a pretty dominant series so far for AL, but you're right. IG, their backs are up against the wall. Their backs aren't through the wall. It's not over for them just yet. They still have some time to be able to pull themselves back out of this, and there are some pretty clear-cut things that they can fix going into this game number 3. Just need to see this team start to perform.
And I do believe we're going to be going back in the draft here as well here very quickly. If we can, though, before we get into that really quick, I did want to bring up the last placements for these IG members. The last time they saw a championship, and it's been a while for majority of them, and if they can't pull it around here, it will continue to be a long time as we see the domestic success of these guys has been waning.
Yeah, I mean, waning is putting it lightly. Again, like, these players have kind of been known for not stepping up. A couple of them, Rookie and, you know, the Shy, like, they've not had the best domestic performances. They lose here, there's real question marks.
And I know when we came into this one, we were kind of making fun of it going through it, but our predictions were completely one-sided for IG in that favor. Nobody predicted AL, not a single person on this graph. And they are on the verge of potentially proving the entirety of the broadcast wrong.
Mazel, I think the one saving grace is technically we are still alive. In
We're
terms of our predictions,
baby.
we
We're
are
still
still
alive
alive at 3-2. But we're jumping into draft here for game number 3. Going to be some standard bans coming out. The Aurora and Poppy have consistently been taken away from AL, but it's the Rise as the pivot ban here. Makes a lot of sense. Galio, Talia, both taken off the board. Rise is absolutely kind of the last remaining really good macro-oriented mid laner. Twisted Fate's playable, but I think Rise is definitely a lot more consistent. The Rumble, the Yunara, and the Azir still taken off the board for AL. They don't want to change anything up, and why would they? But you know what that means? Varus is let through for Gala. That's huge.
All right, he's going to have some utility there. Wonder which build he's going to go with, the on-hit or the lethality side build, but do really like this first pick for them, but they got to make it worth it. So far, both first picks have not paid dividends for IG. They really need to set up, especially way for success moving forward. And this time, AL, I think they're not going to wait until that second phase to see what that matchup is going to be like in terms of what they want to get for strength. And it is going to be the Renekton that has been banned away every other game by IG in the second phase.
IG is terrified of Flandra's Renekton, and we are going to get a chance to see why in this game. It's already a really nice start. You can already dive onto the low mobility Varus onto the backline if you get that good position. Renekton should be strong in lane, but one of the picks I've been highlighting all series long is still up on the board in the Trundle. Poppy and Trundle, to me, are kind of the big picks for both of these teams. I'm surprised this has made it this far into the Fearless series, but Tarzan will be taking that troll into the jungle. Renekton Trundle is a very strong start to the draft from a combat perspective.
I am shaking in my boots a little bit for IG. They really got to come up with some great combinations here for their draft, and especially exiting this first phase of it. I need to see Wei with something to combat this Trundle. Find anything against this guy, or he's just going to run the jungle like he has 2 games in a row earning MVP. They're going to belay that. They're going to wait for Wei, and they're going to grab the Jace and the Rel already.
Yeah, this is the Shy's Jace, so we are definitely seeing more and more priority put onto the first team all-pro top laner for us throughout this year in the Shy. And you know what? I don't hate this. I like this, I guess, strategy adjustment is the word I'd use. The Shy kind of been put on weak side, you know, champions throughout the entirety of this series, just kind of left to his own devices. He finally gets something he can pilot.
You called it.
But Shanks
Are
on
we
those
going to see
assassins.
the adaptation?
Here we go.
All right, so Shanks is going to have a little bit more of those resources delved his way. They're going to try to pick apart that mid lane matchup a little bit more as well. The TF going to be the first ban of the second phase by AL.
Yeah, TF, again, that kind of next priority down on those macro-oriented mids. Now, you're really getting to a point where it's like, okay, what actually answers the Akali that's left? A lot of the things that want to shove and move out of the lane and kind of negate a lot of her combat power, they're all off the board. So it's becoming pretty difficult to find a really good answer to it. We'll see what ends up being the response from IG for Rookie. It's a huge game for him, and he's been put in a very interesting spot. But it's LeBlanc as well. No, you're just taking away a lot of the comfort picks for Rookie. At this point, his most played champion that's still up is the Victor with 3 games. Do you really want to play Victor into Akali? Victor Varus as well, 2 low mobility champions into that Assassin. That feels a little bit scary. After that, you're getting to Sylas, Ahri, some more aggressive picks. You know, it's definitely putting Rookie a bit more in the spotlight here, something he's kind of shied away from in the first 2 games.
Especially that's something we got to talk about, because this is a guy I call him the bodyguard for a lot of his teams that he's seen over the last couple of years, because he is the guy you have to pass to get in a lot of the time. He is the guy that's setting the standard for a lot of the teams that he's been on, and he's been quiet as hell this series, which can't happen against Shanks, especially a guy that's up and coming and finding a lot of promise of his own. So we'll see what he ends up grabbing in this second phase here, but the MF is going to come through for Hope. So you do have a lot of that layered wombo combo, and I'm sure Kyle is going to be cooking with this final pick.
Yeah, there are so many things that can set up this Misfortune that are very creative, very unique. We'll see if he wants to go for one of the more standard ones or perhaps kind of venture outside the box like we know he can. But as I mentioned, you know, those aggressive melee picks, that kind of has to be the answer, and it will be the Sylas locked in for Rookie. Once upon a time, this was a massive pick for him as a player. Not so much in the recent years. We'll see if he can make the most of it, but his Aatrox actually locked in here. That's Sylas jungle, that's Jace mid, and Aatrox top lane for IG.
All right, so Wei getting his hands on the Sylas here. We do end up having that swap over. We need some flexibility for IG, and I love that they're throwing something into this, but it is Kyle's Bard. If you're going to stop any kind of momentum in its tracks, I would want Kyle on Bard immediately.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very scary look for AL. So many things that have been banned out against them early on throughout this whole series. Renekton, Trundle, you know, now Kyle's Bard, even something like Shanks' Akali in Game 2 was banned. They got them all, and for IG, they're throwing stuff at the wall to try and make it stick, but, you know, Rookie's Jace, is that, you know, something that you feel comfortable going into a do-or-die moment for? He hasn't played it at all this split. Wei's Sylas, he's not played it at all this split, and so there are a lot of question marks for IG. They clearly feel comfortable with this draft, but they're going to need to feel comfortable. It's their final shot in this series.
That's the craziest thing, is when we're looking at the road to the Silver Dragon Cup, the only time that this trophy will be available this year, IG, we're one of the favorites coming into the playoffs. It has not been the same IG that we've seen, and it hasn't been for a little while. They got manhandled by BLG, and now they're getting manhandled by AL. They've got to come out the better of it. Yes, I know there's the regional qualifiers in the future. Whatever. It's about the run for this cup. It's about Rookie and the rest of the team making good on a promise they set to their fans at the beginning of the year and trying to earn a championship this year and bring some of that respect back to Invictus Gaming. It's been years. For 2 of these members, the Shine Rookie, it's been 6 years since they found a championship. And if they go out quietly like this, I will be heartbroken.
Heartbroken, to say the least. They have everything on the line here today. It's all going to be about if they can be the best versions of themselves. They are trying to recapture that IG glory. The final shot in the LPL playoffs, maybe for them, starts now.
Love to hear the IG potential still out there. All the fans that these guys have garnered over years are still out in full force. They've got themselves a little bit of a wonky draft. I'm really putting a ton of pressure on Wei himself on the Sylas jungle. Tarzan has just been running this matchup all series long. 2 back-to-back MVPs in the series, and now Wei with a spicy pick to try to upend that.
This is definitely the most aggressive Wei has been all series long. This is the first time where it really feels like he wants to push that tempo early. We will see if he can utilize that, though. I think he does have some good matchups. Jace into Akali should be very favored, at least in the early laning phase. Varus, you know, despite the fact that it's MF Bard, actually should be in an okay spot here, but they're going to get spotted on his blue. At the very least, they will have vision of him.
I gotta say, I'm not that enthused at the ultis that he can grab. You know, we'll see what he gets the most value out of. Honestly, it might be Tempered Fate. We'll see exactly how that all pans out for Wei. Still want to see how this jungle matchup ends up being, because Trundle is lethal as all get out in any situation. We see him banned away a lot, as we do see the first Silas jungle for the first time in 946 days. The last time we saw it was 2023 in the LPL, where Meteor took it against TT. I remember that. I think
That
I
is-
cast. Did I cast? I don't remember.
That's crazy. shout out Meteor, pulling out that Silas jungle. We'll see if Wei can live up to the lofty expectations there, because he's gonna have to. Again, we've talked about it so much. You know, the expectations are so high for IG, and Mako chief among them. As you can see, he's officially #1 on that total games played. 1,100 games for Mako.
That's crazy. Could it be the final one of this 2025 season, barring the regional qualifiers? We will find out. But I'd say a couple quiet positions here from some of the key players, key pieces of IG. As Wei's trying to fight for his red buff, but AL know that the Silas isn't that strong earlier on, at least. He's going to try to catch Rookie.
Oh,
Rookie is getting pounced on by all 4 members. He's going to flash, but that ain't going to be enough. He goes down. Wei ends up getting the red buff, but Rookie is gone. The door is open. The bodyguard is gone.
This is almost identical to what AL did to Ninjas in Pajamas in Game 4 against them in the previous series. They invade at the red buff to try and catch the jungler off guard, and it's super successful. I will say Tarzan does have to set himself really far behind to do so, but first blood going to Hope in this game is massive. IG gonna try to pull something back with the invade here, though.
Might just be digging a hole for themselves, though, as Mako's getting really... You don't fight a Trundle here. He's just going to shred you. And now they're just wasting time trying to contest over that blue buff that just goes Tarzan's way.
Yeah, I mean, this is, once again, just well played by AL. They recognize that this is going to be kind of an invade here, and IG continuing to go for it. They're so deep. They're expending so many resources.
Now they're actually just going to fully commit, but they're on vision, as they will end up getting away the wolves. Kyle definitely overextended. I think he thought they were a little crazy for that one, as he goes down anyways, and that'll be actually something pulled back from IG in this early game.
Yeah, honestly, that should have been a fine play. All things considered, Kyle just walking too far forward on the Bard does give that kill back, and that's actually huge for IG. Now not only
wait.
stabilize Tarzan.
This is going wild over here. Tarzan's just trying to find his way in.
Gromp
The
is still
Gromp got
alive.
reset after all that, so hey, at least he still gets his jungle camp.
Yeah, somehow this actually turns out okay for Tarzan. So much time is wasted by Wei, but I guess Tarzan wasted some time too. I just figured the play there was probably to call it off and go take topside crab. No love lost. Both teams are going to tie it up at 1 kill apiece and be basically even in gold. As bad as that, you know, early death for Rookie looked, it turns out to be all right for IG. They're very much still in this game, but, you know, Wei looking aggressive early, needs to keep that up.
Kyle's going to be looking for roams. I want to see if Mako wants to match that, and I want to talk about the support role a little bit more. I know I was setting it up to talk about Mako earlier. Pretty quiet series from him. Kyle has had the loud and triumphant entrance into this best of 5 so far, but I do like some of the cohesion we're seeing between him and Wei so far in this game number 3. And we are going to see the double scuttle actually go the way of Wei, and he is very far ahead of Tarzan at the moment in the jungle matchup.
Yeah, this is what winning out on that smite fight around the red buff will do. Tarzan had to expend so many resources in order to try to make that play happen. Still not the worst case scenario for Trundle. You can make an impact happen. I don't think you ever felt like you were going to dominate the early game anyways on this champion, so we'll see how he ends up proceeding, but really it's going to come down to the lane advantages, which AL does have in spades right now. Top, mid, and bot, all with, you know, small degrees of leads, at least in their own individual lanes. We'll see how much they can keep that.
I gotta say, Shanks just hit level 6. Rookie doesn't have TP back. He is a full level down on Shanks, and that was some of the pressure that we saw early on. Also, this top lane starting to get a little out of hand in favor of Flandra. Something that IG were worried about was that Renekton all series long, but letting it through feels like the floodgates might just be open. The dragon is another first dragon, Infernal Dragon, by the way. This is the 3rd game in a row we've had that. which maybe ups the tempo on that just a little bit, but we have seen the grubs are the real answer for both teams in these early scuffles. This time, for the first time, IG are not lane swapping.
Yeah, I think they really want that dragon in this game. They don't want to give that over in the way that they did previously. I think specifically because it's Infernal Dragon, and you have the poke comp to end all poke comps. You have Jace Varus as your carry duo here in the mid and bot lane, and so you really want to make sure that you have as much tempo as possible to try and pressure out that position. If you can set up early around that dragon, things get a lot easier for you know, the high range that they have available to them.
Yeah, that lethality is going to come back to be that siege potential for IG in some of these objective setups. There's going to be a little bit of vision play around this dragon here. Actually not going to be the case. IG going to leave it dark for now. I got to say Tarzan is pathing on the bot side. And we are going to get a redeploy from Gala to the mid lane. So giving them some options moving forward for these grub fights.
This is really interesting. We've seen this happen more, but moving Gala to mid lane, Wei moving his way up to top side.
He wants the Dominus. Take it. There you go. You got it. And be a tanky boy now.
Yeah, you know, you got what you were looking for. Technically, still definitely worth it, but because of Wei showing on the top side there, you are going to be able to get that dragon for free. Grubs have spawned as well, though. This is a good timer for IG to be able to pressure that. Basically forces AL into making this trade happen. I think this is overall good for both sides. You talked about it. The siege potential of Invictus is crazy high, which makes it really valuable for them to get as many of these grubs as possible. Whereas AL, I think, are in a good position to just kind of wait around Shanks' power spike. And they will get that advantage with that Infernal Dragon as well.
Tarzan just going to go be a menace in the enemy jungle here as Hope maybe getting caught out by the Chains of Corruption, insta-cleanse, and the magical journey to get out. Wow, it's going through the chickens there, by the way. There's no wall, but still the journey is taken nonetheless. Now Tarzan getting collapsed on by Rookie. Trying to contest this Rookie. I am surprised as he moves back over to try to get towards Wei and the rest of his team. The subjugation is kicking right now as Wei goes in with the Dominus. He is not tanky enough, though. Shanks wants to finish him up, but Shanks stayed too long. He's going to flash over the wall there. Still does have an exit as he's going to try to get over to this side of the turret. Wei should be able to chase him down. Has the Abscondum Duck coming back up, but the turret shots will do the work and give Rookie the kill. His first kill of the game.
Yeah, not really the ideal target to execute to with the chase there, but definitely a great collapse from IG. It's a very aggressive look from Tarzan and from Shanks. They want to try and take advantage of the fact they're on top side. Flandra pops ult here. Teleport, though, coming in to try and punish this.
That's going to be Mako TPing with the spellbook. He's going to try to get over here and lock down Flandra, who does still have the Dominus, can heal up from the double Q, but now it is not going to be much more for IG in this top side. Still do have one grub available. I wonder if teams are just going to let it go to the wayside here as IG looking to reform around this grub pit.
Yeah, I'm actually stunned to see this grub still alive with how much time IG were given in the pit, but I guess they just felt two were enough, and they don't really want to expend the resources to go after the next one. We'll see if they do end up cleaning that up at some point, as AL clearly have no intention of trying to commit resources towards it. At least for now, we are just looking at that next spike. That poor grub, all alone.
By himself. Okay, it looks like Wei's coming over to give him some comfort. The release of death, I guess, in some regards, but it is IG looking a lot better in this game. Like, I know we got excited about game 2. We were like, it's even at 10 minutes. That's awesome. Well, right now they have a small advantage at 10 minutes into the game, and they still have a comp that succeeds in this mid game. Speaking of, they know he doesn't have a cleanse, and Hope just taken down, dodging out of the Tempered Fate with the flash goes Gala, and that's a flashy play to get IG even more of an advantage.
Yeah, I think Kyle would have been better served using that on his own AD carry to buy some time there, but just ends up being a really nice heads-up play and a big mistake from Hope as Shanks goes in.
I think Rookie might be in a little bit of trouble here. Perfect execution going to be utilized. He hits the Shuriken flip and gets the kill. Shanks just masterfully executes Rookie, and that might just be a little bit of a counterplay coming in from IG as they do have the perfect execution from Wei. He wants to get it, dodges out the pillar! Tarzan blocks his way, and Tarzan comes up with the kill on the way.
It is masterfully played by AL. Shanks absolutely decimating Rookie in the 1v1, and then Tarzan and Shanks putting on a clinic in terms of their skirmish execution with a big victory. That gold lead that IG had generated, it's gone now, and especially because a lot of that gold is going over to Shanks on that Akali. Things are going a little bit worse, and these are the kinds of mistakes you just can't make. It's the little things that have really cost IG in this series, and once again, I think that happened here.
You're going to see an all-in on top side now as well. TP coming in. They're going to try to catch out the Shy. He's got the World Ender ticking. And be just fine. Meanwhile, an engaged cross map, though, onto Tarzan. Pillar's going to be used as Kyle has an exit for him, but he's not going to take it. It is just a little bit dicey for IG, not coming up with the solid plays that they wanted in the early game here. They're going to collapse onto this bot side now, but they are going to be under vision and seen doing this. There's actually now Gala and Mako. We're going to hold tight. Try to catch out whoever came over and answered. Now they're really extended. Mako, he's about to get ran down by Flandra. Wants to use the slice and dice to get through him. They got the Tempered Faith there onto Gala as well. And now he's the turn. He's stuck. Gala can't move and Gala's down.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's everything going wrong for IG. Gala is stuck in the worst possible position you could be in as an AD carry, and he's the one with all the gold, and all of a sudden, everything is spiraling out of control. They try to overload on the bot side to potentially pressure this tier 1 tower, and they just fail miserably. AL calls their bluff and just plays it better. We're going to see how this goes. First off, this is, I believe, the 1v1.
No, please,
We're getting not the rookie replay here. Shanks just dancing on him, man. This Akali is disgusting. He's been doing this the entirety of the playoffs, and at this point, this looks like a good re-engage for IG, but Kyle shows up, and really, when you talk about a hands diff, this is what a hands diff looks like. Way going in, just getting blocked off by the pillar. It's perfect, unintended, from Tarzan as we jump back to live here.
And Tarzan might just be looking at himself with another MVP for this one. If you want one person to step up when it matters most, Tarzan has been the guy for anyone's legend. He's who helped lead the way in their first ever championship as an organization, and he is who is leading the way in this lower bracket run. IG are struggling to come up with answers. They have dominance for Wei. They look to try to catch up Kyle, but he's going to flash away. Now Dragon is the focus. They're stepping up, but Flandre's got his dominance popped in the side. Wei needs to pop his soon to get this value out. They catch Kyle. Tarzan going to come around the way. Kyle gets out, though, with the magical journey. Now Shanks comes in with the execution. Wei's going to be in trouble, too. He gets pounced on. He can't get anything. He's down. 3 members are gone, and Gala's about to join them. IG have no hope left, and AL have completely mastered the domination of Invictus Gaming.
The mid-games that have plagued anyone's legend throughout the entirety of Split number 3, that have been their nemesis for every bit of their lower run, they are coming to fruition finally for anyone's legend as they start to dominate these skirmishes. It comes down to everyone, and it might not be over. Tarzan hovering around the bot side. We get a teleport down here.
TP play, and Tarzan's already behind him. The Shy had no idea. Maybe a little bit of rage pushing as he's going to be run down by Flandra and co. Hopes even getting in there with the Bloodthirster. He is taking no damage, takes a big Q3, but it doesn't matter. Tarzan comes up with another kill. The 3-0-4 Trundle, and the Nightmare breathes life into itself here for anyone's legend. I am starting to see the end of the tunnel here.
So much for 0-0-0 on the Shy. He ends up getting picked off in the side lane here. IG will be able to grab that Rift Herald as a consolation prize, but they're going to lose so much on the bottom side. Even if they do trade this top lane turret, just continues to go from bad to worse. But for IG, I mean, this just has to feel like a very demoralizing way for game number 3 to go. Not only were you favorites in this series, this was a team that was being talked about at the beginning of playoffs like one of the best in the entire league, and now your back is firmly planted against the wall. And we'll see how the rest of this game goes.
Rift Herald did get taken there, but we take a look back at this fight, and IG, they overextended for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely not a great setup for IG. And I think it looks okay if you are able to land the kill onto Kyle, because Trundle and Renekton, both Tarzan and Flandra, are a bit separated. But the problem is it's a Bard. You can't execute Kyle. He's just going to have all of that safety, and Shanks is just popping off in these fights. This guy's looked so good on Akali. We get the pop-off. We get the emotion. We get the feeling coming in from AL. I can't imagine just how relieving this is to see out of this team.
My heart wanted this series to be a banger, for these teams to leave everything out on the floor, and unfortunately it feels like IG just never showed up, which is heart-wrenching in its own right. I mean, like we had shown, that's why I wanted to talk about the last time a lot of these players had reached a championship. I don't care about the international success. World champion is all good, but you also want to have that success at home in your domestic region. And it has been 6 long years for Rookie. I know, like, that's why I highlight Rookie more than the Shy, because it's been 6 years for the Shy too, but he took a break. He was away from play. Rookie has not. He has been grinding. He's gone through health issues. He's gone through every run imaginable, almost making it to the tippy top so many times on different rosters, on different iterations, on different undefeated teams, on V5, all the way back to all these years. 6 long years we have waited for Rookie to find himself a finals again, and we are not going to get it.
Yeah, it couldn't happen on V5, it couldn't happen on Top Esports, it couldn't happen on Ninjas in Pajamas, and right now, even the return to IG looks unlikely for him to bear the fruit that he was looking for as a top 2 team. It's certainly been frustrating for Rookie, a player who at times has looked good, at times has looked, you know, inconsistent. I think this year has really felt like a return to form in some ways for Rookie, and for it all to come crashing down in this moment certainly is a bit sad, but IG at least looking to make a play on the top side. But Shanks is just, he's so...
Dude, Shanks is styling on him, man.
There's no way you catch a Collie.
Yeah, there's literally no way. It's crazy. Rift Herald is going to be up and available for IG. Probably going to try to use it in this mid lane. Could see it used in the bot lane outer turret. But this is AL's show, and the next objective will secure feats of strength for either side. I think that's going to be potential tussle around the dragon in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. So, is there any promise, any hope that is not named hope on AL that IG have in this next fight?
Ooh boy, that's a tough one to feel confident in answering positively for IG. They still do have a ton of poke damage coming in. Again, items are coming through. Second item just completed here by Gala. That could be a difference maker. This Varus can do quite a bit of damage, but you have to set up first. IG have to be in the area so they can start poking out AL. They go into it with half health bars, maybe, but
the Shy is scared. The Shy is terrified. You feel it shivering, shaking. IG, they might be faltering as he gets pounced on. Now he's going to be taken down. Shanks was looking for an angle. Tempered Fate hits him right in the gut, and now Shanks is looking to execute their lives. He gets locked down, though. He's fully CC'd down. The CC chain is enough, and Shanks going to perfectly execute his way out. He survives, and Wei gets stopped in his tracks. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald's going to be driven by Mako. He's trying to take down Shanks, but won't find the angle. Just going to deliver it down to bot lane, and IG, they do make it out of the fight. They got to try to turn this into something here with this bot lane.
Yeah, it's a miscommunication, and this play's not over. There still is a potential fight happening.
The dragon hasn't even spawned.
Yeah, the dragon's not even up. It's spawning now, and it should be IG's, which at the very least stops the stacking, but that could have been an absolutely massive fight. A bit of a miscommunication on AL. I hope we get a replay there. Hope's bullet time ends up going directly into Kyle's Tempered Fate. Certainly not an ideal set of circumstances. Wei! Oh, no!
Yeah, it's a little bit troublesome there as he's gonna flash. Okay, he said yes. I do want Gala. I'm going to get a little bit of help from Kyle as Gala's flash is not going to get him away from the pillar, and Tarzan takes a big old chop out of IG's heart.
Yeah, I mean, you know, only sacrificing one member for that play honestly feels okay. Unfortunately, it does have to be Gala, who has the most amount of resources on your team at the current moment. You don't want to be giving free kills onto the Varus, but what that means is that Otacon should be free here. Not that that was ever too much in question, but may I direct your attention to the pedal difference right now between these two teams? And this is before Otacon.
It's not a lane difference, it's a pedal difference, all right?
Exactly.
The pedals are falling. And IG's season might be changing, might be altering into focused entirely on making it to Worlds, because IAL are ending their run here. We look in the picture-in-picture. The Shy gets out from the initial barrage, but it's the pillar that finds him again. A pick kill going over to Shanks, and that's also the turret. Tier 2 going the way of Hope.
They are actually just killing him for fun at this point.
I can't watch anymore, man. My stomach's actually upset. Like, this is brutal, man. This has been a brutal series. Honestly, I think IG are going to just have to be done with it. They have not had, they've had moments, mere moments of success in this series. And AL look like the beast we've known them to be that we were missing out on.
Yeah, I think that that's fair to say. This is the AL we hoped and prayed to see in this series, and they are giving us exactly that. This is looking like the team that won the LPL, that won finals, went to MSI. We've talked about it a lot, but, you know, these are 5 players that just came off of an international run, and they've just not been able to recapture that form. This is an international caliber team right now that we are seeing in this series, and I don't know if you could ask for much more from AL as a response.
And who does this? Who goes out and gets red side and wins 3 games in a row? I feel like there's not a lot of teams that do that in this day and age across the world, let alone the LPL. And honestly, we're getting back to those moments where, like, okay, we're starting to see the combination of draft strength from Tabe and co into the execution level that we're getting from this team and what made them such a promising sight going into that MSI for the LPL. So this team is hungry. They are very, very motivated to make it to that finals and earn themselves a back-to-back championship, which we just saw last year with BLG.
Yeah, we've had these consistent, you know, winners coming out of the LPL being so dominant over the past couple of years. JDG in 2023, BLG in 2024, really being able to run the league. Felt like AL might not follow in their footsteps for a majority of this split, but they certainly are looking a lot closer to those super teams than they have, you know, in the last couple of weeks for sure. Looks like they'll close it out here. I just want to give a lot of credit to their drafting as well, though. You know, as much as we talk about Tabe.
Absolutely.
Like, these drafts are so perfectly created to help the team and their skill set. See Tarzan going in.
Wait, dude, Tarzan is just holding his pillar. He's threatening it. And now, Rookie, you're going to have to flash. Mako's going to have to get over with the crash jump, but he gets tempered faded. And now Hope is going to move forward. Was waiting to pull the trigger on him. Wasn't going to find anything in the end. It's just a bit of a siege in the mid lane, and AL force out some summoner spells.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario for AL in these fights is if they force a ton of sums from IG. It really, it's a tough position to find yourself back in. Very least you're not running things down. Theoretically, again, you have some poke on your side. You've got identical builds here for Rookie and for Gala. Could be a way to potentially do enough damage to win a very discoordinated fight, but it's on AL to throw at this point. If they play their own game, they should have this one in the bag.
And dude, the entire series might just be, I know we're far away from it, but it might just be a statement MVP series from Tarzan. I mean, this has been a completely one-sided jungle diff all 3 games.
Yeah, I think that's honestly putting it a bit lightly in terms of how things have gone. Look, you know, you don't have to convince me. I was calling him the best jungler in the world before MSI when this guy was playing this way in the LPL consistently. You know, I know that there's a lot of controversy surrounding that take, but I think Tarzan is so important towards this AL team that when he ends up playing at his best, there's really not a lot of people who can match him. Wait, getting a little bit shut down there by the portal, but Tarzan just walking up and chomping him down.
Yeah, I mean, the utility between these two, between Tarzan and Kyle, the tempered fade into the pillars. It's been so many times that we've seen IG caught out because of it. Now Dragon is going to be started up. Last Dragon was secured by IG, so they put a little bit of tampering on the Dragon stacking for AL, but now Flandra has a massive flank. Tempered Fate going to come in. It hits Gala. They want to commit to this. Bullet time coming out behind it. He still gets hit by the chain, and Shanks just ends his life right there. And that might just be the end of IG in these playoffs. One more perfect execution from Shanks is going to eliminate IG from this very plane of existence. They will have to look forward to the Worlds Qualifying Regional Finals, and that is going to be AL retaining dominance in this lower bracket. It has been a story of comeback for this team, and it looks like nothing can stop them now.
Nothing can stop AL. That is absolutely correct. We see supportal combat happening. Kyle chasing down Mako. It will all be just for the highlight reel as AL takes the Baron. On the other side, Ignite is dropped. Mako's going to live. I'm not sure he has the damage to kill him.
This is the supportal combat we know and love. He speeded up.
Oh, no way.
Run away, Mako. Run away. Hi-ho, Silver, away.
They're teleporting.
Oh, Kyle killed him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The dragon spawning, I think, maybe has a little bit to do with the fact that AL's putting the resources down here. But with that Baron buff available, I think it's pretty realistic for this team to just pick a lane and, you know, run it down. I'm not sure there's going to be much that IG can do at this point to stop the push coming in. That's a 7-kill Akali. It's a 5-kill Trundle. Even Misfortune at this point is very strong. It's going to be difficult. We see that happening in the bot lane.
IG on their last gasp efforts, another game, a third in a row with a 10,000 gold deficit, and AL just need to put the finishing touches on IG now. Wei was trying to get some of his jungle, but going to be pushed out. Tempered Fate gonna hit on again on the Gala. They're just gonna run him down here. This might just be point in place where IG die in the playoffs as they are being taken down a peg, and a whole peg at that, as AL gonna go straight down the mid lane, and this team will not be stopped. The freight train is cold up and ready to go as they're looking to take down IG and crest that momentum straight into JDG. The final Nexus turret falls. Kael's the final focus here. One more big bullet time, but it's AL time, and the Panda era is alive and well. The Nexus is all that stands between IG and waiting to see them in regionals, as AL have completely wasted Invictus Gaming.
There is your lot. That series was dominant from anyone's legend. That word might not even be strong enough to describe how good this team looked here today. If you wanted a statement, if you wanted a message sent to every other team, sent to JD Gaming, sent to Top Esports and Billy up in the upper bracket, well, here is your statement. AL is a team that you can't just be looking at as lower bracket fodder, as a third, fourth place team. This team is coming for the crown, and they are looking to regain every bit of glory that they had last split.
I'm so happy for AL. It's an awesome run. I cannot wait to see what they do against JDG. I think if they're playing like this, that might just be a 3-0. I need to go change my predictions there, but for IG, it's over. There will not be an Invictus Gaming Championship. There will not be a hoisting of the Silver Dragon Cup for the first time in 6 years for Rookie and the Shy. That dream, it is dead, and AL killed it. And I think that is heartbreaking nonetheless, with some of the great performances we've seen from IG across split number 2, coming into split number 3. They were one of the favorites coming into the playoffs, and it's all gone.
It truly is a sad end for them, at least in their domestic playoff run. Luckily, they still have some options to get to Worlds, and I think that's really going to be the silver lining for them coming out of this series, because as terrible as this feels, and quite frankly, this was a bad performance from them on every level, if you can figure out what the problems are, you know, Worlds is absolutely attainable for this team. You have to be able to make those adjustments, though, because this was a confidence killer, a momentum killer. Anything that this team had coming out of the regular season, any sort of mental advantage they had, it's all gone here. They need to rely on their ability to bounce back now.
3 blue side losses feels so bad. They will have a lot of time to get themselves prepped up for those regional qualifiers, but now they have to watch and see as we see somebody else waste that trophy. And for AL, it feels like it might be the time. The come up is now, and they are just firing on all cylinders. Like, IG didn't look like IG in this game. I think you have to credit in that way. If the factor is that they just absolutely completely handled this team from top to bottom, like, what other team can stand before them besides a team like BLG, besides a team like Top Esports? And now I'm looking at JDG saying, do you have the stuff, man? I don't know. This team's been so rocky, and now AL look like they're coming for blood.
Look, you know, I think you can talk about, you know, JDG not having the most consistent gameplay. Paige is really good. He's a really, really good AD carry, and you can get some great performances out of players like Xiaoshu and Shun on the top side of that map as well. You can't take them for granted, but, I mean, you're looking at this AL team. If you want my opinion and my prediction here, if this is the AL team that shows up against JDG, you know, if Invictus couldn't handle him, I certainly don't think JDG can. That certainly would be the conversation. AL, this entire league is in their hands if they perform like this.
Yeah, they absolutely are an oyster, if you will, for them to open up and get a pearl, because it would be nice to see AL cap their long year off with another cup, and the cup, the Silver Dragon Cup, but they've got a long way to get there. And I think it still is a shocker to have found them in that lower bracket so early, but now they're reaping the benefits. I know we hear players talk all the time about lower bracket momentum. It's why we see lower bracket runs come out so often, is because you are the team that is winning if you're moving forward, and the team you're facing is coming from a loss, and a lot of time devastating loss. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, plot armor's real in the LPL. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes you just get into a situation where you find that groove, you find that momentum, you find that confidence, and you're able to carry it through. We're seeing it right now in the upper bracket with Billy Gaming, this team that, you know, made a small substitution in round number 1. They're on to winners finals. You know, I'm not saying that it's definitely possible for us to be sitting here looking at a finals rematch, but you know, all of this talk about, you know, other teams, you know, emerging, Top Esports and Invictus being at the top of the standings, we will see if they can live up to that. IG couldn't quite do it. TES will have the chance to do it tomorrow with their winners bracket series, but AL, man, are they looking scary.
They are. I can't wait to get back to some of the clips and the highlights and things along those lines, but there is a real question in asking, is it just a triple MVP from Mr. Tarzan himself? I think it might be. Dude, those pillars were nasty. Yeah. Those pillars, like, oh my God, stop. That's like, that should not be allowed. That's almost as bad as Nico getting to flash while she pop blossoms. Crazy.
Yeah, I think, you know, if it's me, if I'm sitting there, if I'm given a vote, I'm voting for Tarzan. What do I think might happen? I think Shanks is going to be getting quite a few, votes in this one. I think some Macaulay, you know, pop-off moments certainly got the attention of people, and I think he definitely was a focal point in a lot of these fights. But you're right, I think Tarzan was just exceptional. And it's not just this game. It was this series. I know we don't give a player of the series. We do it game by game, but this might be the easiest player of the series that I have had to pick in a long time. Tarzan was unreal today, and I think he just really took over.
And I gotta say, that's 2 games in a row where like the damage percentage, the whole team effort is just on full display from AL. That's not often you see that. Usually there's like 1 or 2 big stars that like make the game matter, or at least have the pace of the game itself in their hands. But these have been 2 games in a row where it's the entirety of AL.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it looks like to dominate, to control a map. I mean, there were even some early game hiccups. It wasn't like everything was perfect. There were moments where the game was even, or IG had small leads, like in game number 3. It didn't matter. The execution was better. That's what it came down to, is I don't think there was a draft this game that was unwinnable for Invictus. I don't think that there was, you know, a game state at 5 minutes, you know, maybe other than game 1, that was, you know, super unfavorable for them. I think they went into these fights, played them 3v3 or 4v4, and AL was better in every aspect, and I think that really was the difference here today.
Yeah, it was. And we take a look back at some of these, that you can see some of the attempts of the early machinations of IG, but more often than not, they found themselves in weird positions. I mean, there was that whole situation on bot side where they just got like ran through it and herded like a sheepdog and some cattle. Like I at this point, like, it was a fully one-sided series. I think some of these clips will show that off here, but it was IG who just weren't on the same page, and AL took full advantage of that. And the drafts, man, if you want like the perfect draft setups for AL, just take games 1, 2, and 3 and put it on your board in front and say they can never get that ever again, because those drafts were impeccable.
And that's the thing. I know I just stated it wasn't like draft gap, but that's kind of an isolation, right? Like, you're looking at these drafts from a neutral perspective. AL got everything they wanted, everything they're comfortable on. I think something they've done is try to get too cute over the course of this year and try to play some, you know, out of the box things, you know, put Tarzan on Xin Zhao and on a lot of these more skirmish heavy champions, Vi, and, you know, really try to play through Kyle, leaving lane and enabling him. Let's get back to basics. Let's let Tarzan play the macro game. Let's let him use the best part of his game, which is his brain and his macro that he consistently dominates, and just give him the keys to the kingdom. Let everything kind of revolve around that. As we see, when Tarzan is given the opportunity to carry, he will do so.
He absolutely will. I can't give him those tools here moving forward, as I'm sure he'll still get them and still find a way. But we're getting to the end of these highlights, which means we'll be getting to the setup for the MVP that I do believe Tarzan will be getting on the Trundle. Got a little bit of Tave pop off, getting ready to go out, walk to the players. But if he gets 3 MVPs here, that means he's gotten, I believe, 5 or 6 total in the playoffs just themselves. I think he was the leading candidate for MVPs as well in the regular season for the team. I think he had 11, 10 or something along those lines. It was actually crazy. And we take a look before we get to the MVP of our updated bracket setup here, where we do see AL moving on to face JDG, and IG have been relegated to the regional qualifiers.
Yeah, it's the end of the line for Invictus Gaming. They will get no other opportunity until the champion has been crowned here in the LPL. At best, they can go to Worlds as a 3 seed. Certainly going to be something that they are looking at, but that really sets up our Final Four. JD Gaming and Anyone's Legend will be, taking each other on for that spot in the lower bracket finals, and they'll meet the loser of tomorrow's series, Billy, and Top Esports. I am pumped for that upper bracket
final. That's a banger. I can't believe we already have our upper bracket final. I can't believe we only have 4 best of 5s left in this road to the Silver Dragon Cup, and AL making a good run of it here in the end against the shaky JDG. That'll be very interesting as a matchup itself, as we do have our MVP, and it is Tarzan for the 3-crown king of this series.
Yeah, I mean, more than earned it on the Trundle. This is why I spent so much time talking about it in the draft in games 1 and 2, because this champ has looked unbelievable for AL throughout this year, and Tarzan's just on fire right now. When you take both of his back-to-back best of 5s, he's looking like one of the best junglers in the world again.
Well, we do have a little bit of an update for all you IG fans that are out there who are wondering what happens now, what moves forward. We do have the championship points updated here for you, and it is not over for IG. They are really kind of hoping for JDG to potentially get either knocked out or at least end up taking that series against AL. We'll see exactly how it all works out, but they are looking at the regional qualifiers. Depends where they will end up placing, where they will be put into those regional qualifiers. There is an upper bracket and a lower bracket, but we do have teams that start in the lower bracket and have to make that run to the regional finals.
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult if you're not one of the premier upper tier teams. Getting 5th or 6th immediately puts you in a negative spot. IG have to hope for some nice outcomes for themselves here.
Yeah, and that being said, what a series. I'm so incredibly sad we didn't get 5 games. I'm very sad that it was just a 3-0, but if anything gives me faith, at least for AL, it is that they dominated IG, and it gives you a little bit of promise moving forward for this team that has garnered a lot of attention this year.
Yeah, I really think it's an IG world, and unfortunately they just weren't quite able to
They're not living in it anymore.
They live in it anymore. They got kicked out. They got unceremoniously evicted.
Oh, no.
So, hopefully they can rebuild that. I still think this team has a really great shot to go to Worlds, and it's all really just about how they rebound.
All right, do you have any final thoughts on the series or anything else going forward here, K-Man?
I think if we are setting ourselves up for a, Knight, Kanavi, Tarzan endgame here, maybe Pays, you can put him into that discussion as well. I think the LPL's in pretty good hands with some of the best players in the world.
All I'm saying is we need a end game edit of everybody coming out and just all the big names coming through the portals. I'll be working on that for sure moving forward. But as we say goodbye, say adieu, I just got to give one big thank you to our Elite Coffee supporters in Aaron, Soup, Mung, and Forrest. Without their pledged financial contributions, help level up the broadcast on a daily basis, help provide for all the volunteers that make this product a thing for this entire year. So many broadcasts under our belt, and still a few left to go. K-Man, it's been a pleasure. Bread behind the sticks as well. Huge shout out to our mod and socials team on the night too. We'll be back tomorrow with a giga banger upper bracket finals. BLG versus Top Esports for a ticket to the finals. We'll see you there. We'll see you on Summoner's Rift.